Hi, I am Eve7770, and I count it an honor to be a virtual assistant for the kosher clinician. The purpose of this show is to foster positive ethnocentrism. Many times, other cultures are not astute enough to convey the complexities of clinical concepts and social trends. This show is dedicated to unpacking the nuances of male struggles, and how to increase awareness with social factors and masculinity. As purported, mental health have become a crisis, and often fear, and underrepresentation is issue that impacts change.
For me, and I'm such a free.
Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, obligation to my nation.
There's a first for everything, and now I've been name dropped in a chart-topping rap song. Listen.
Well, shut up, Patriot J, Benny Johnson, Big Bongino, Alex Jones. Free my dogs and lock up the radical left's gone crazy. I don't bail, I won't see inside a cell. Shut up, thugger, free my slime, slat, YSL. They tryna lock me up, but I'm plugged in ATL. Got homies doing life in jail, they living in hell. These DAs acting silly, my mugshot is worth a billy. So some merchant made a milli, shot me Millie out in Philly. Shot the baby, shot the Sosa, Benny Butcher, them my rollers. Called me racist, but these rappers riding with me, them my soldiers. Mega, I am not who they are after. I'm just in the way they want to get to you, but I won't let them. Cold-hearted, no, I'm artist, getting back to where I started. I don't need to do the race, I'ma beat them Rico.
For Mayor Trump, and you ain't black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
And I'm black.
Yes, I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I am black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
If you couldn't tell, we're black.
I'm black.
I'm black. I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
Joe Biden, man, I'm voting for Trump.
Fuck Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Fuck Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Voting for Trump, the whole hood's for Trump. Fuck Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Blacks for Trump, Latinos for Trump. United we stand, and we standing with Trump.
Dear white people, will you take our vote? Why the Democrats always try to steal our hope?
I'd rather have a president with a mugshot than the president pedophile that we got. I'm sorry, Trump, I ain't vote for you last time. They was hating on you spreading lies last time. It made me relate.
I believe that if he become president, I think a lot of things are going to change relationship wise because he's going to put in the laws that.
Fire on your mind. The kosher clinician.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Finders keepers, losers we.
Got an itch in my palm. My girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand. I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light. Know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave. Girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas. No, I won't be long. We came up from the weeds. Now it's top floor. All these big gas on her wrist. VVS's on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. There for my first cake, then we hit 100K. $500,000 on the way, then $1 million on the way. Eating good, full plates, eating good, say grace. Eat her up, get thanks. She got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa, whoa, something like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa, whoa, came up from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she dip. All these big gas on her wrist, VVS's on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. All these big gas on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. All these big gas on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend.
Cognitive dissonance is a condition that happens for a myriad of reasons. Many times in modern America, men and women often do one of the following. They deny the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue to ad hominem attacks, meaning they attack the messenger instead of the message. And they will fight you or flee because they cannot hear what you are saying. A condition such as this, tied into cognitive dissonance, often happens to those that have or lack self-awareness. They stay in a perpetual cycle of arrested development. exhibited by this. Fire for your mind. The Kosher Clinician.
If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Absent fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen. Listen.
All right, guys, bring it to you live once again from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. I got my man Edwin Anderson. We're going to kill the game on tonight. But one might be asking the question, why is the kosher clinician talking about politics? And I told you guys that there are 7 steps to male optimization. Politics is one of the 7 steps to male optimization. According to the scripture says that when the people, or when wicked men reign, the people suffer. Black men have been suffering under the tyrannical rule and some of the tyrannical and draconian laws of liberal policies, to the point it's caused black men to become passport bros and also to look at policies that are benefiting themselves. Edwin Anderson and I are going to dissect and break down how policy plays a role on the psyche of a man, and shout out to him talking about mentally transmitted diseases, but also how policy is saying that because of it, many black men are becoming passport bros and may or may not come back to relationships in America that are not beneficial to them. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live once again. This Ed Anderson and I are going to be talking about politics on the night and how many are laughing to the bank as black men are voting for Trump. Let's go. All right. I can't hear it. So anyway, let me start. So, Brother Ed, how you doing, sir? Hold tight. I'm gonna bring you on, brother Ed. How you doing, brother? What's going on?
Yeah, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you perfect, brother.
All right. Yeah, I'm doing all right. You know,
Yeah,
it's
man.
been
Listen,
yeah.
it's an honor to have you on the panel tonight, sir. I count it an honor. And before I go deep into the conversation, my heartfelt condolences to you over the loss of your mother. My heart goes out to you. My mother is currently a little sick and under the weather, and I'm thinking about her as I'm thinking about your mother. So my heartfelt condolences to you and your untimely demise with the loss of your mother. And you are in my thoughts and my prayers, and blessings to you and your family, brother. So hold tight. So let's talk about it. You know, people ask the question, why is the kosher clinician talking about politics? And Ed, I'm talking about politics because I've said in the past that there are 7 steps to male optimization. And female psychology and politics play a role as they are correlations of one another. You talk about a term that you phrase called mentally transmitted diseases, which in my mind is an excellent term. But that excellent term, Ed, also is a correlation to a term that you talked about called the collective narcissist. Collective narcissism plays a role in mentally transmitted diseases, but not only that, according to theology, it says when wicked men reign, the people suffer. And so when you think about the passport bros, the evolution of the passport bros, some men may or may not come into back to the table. I would never come back if I was a single man. But also this policy in general. Why is Donald Trump becoming such a key icon figure, in your opinion, being a millennial, And also, what do you think about the evolution of the passport, bros? And this loaded question, and how it's going to impact policy in the future. Loaded question.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I know
Let's
people
roll it.
accuse me of giving a lot of questions. So let me say it right here. I'm more neutral on this when it comes to Donald Trump. I'm the type of person that, clearly if the Democrats wanted black people to vote for them, they would actually give black people what they want.
Right.
Reparations is really at the top of that list.
Yes, sir.
But even if you were dead set on not doing that, bringing a whole bunch of immigrants and magically flooding them into black populations in particular is just going to remind people. I mean, is going to put more people in the situation. How worse can it get?
Right.
And not only is there black men voting for Donald Trump, but quite frankly, there's a lot of black women that are getting disillusioned with the Democratic Party in particular.
Right.
So my personal solution, just so people understand where I'm coming from with it, I'm technically a registered Democrat, but I'm really an independent. I'm registered because you got to be registered in order to vote in the primaries in this
Right.
state.
Right.
So that's why. And I'm in North Carolina, and the Republicans are not the worst here, but at the same time, in the primaries tend to go to the more focused part of the party. So I'm going to have more influence on that in the Democratic Party, but generally I'm an independent. So I want to establish that there. I'm not necessarily somebody that's like palming for Trump, but at the same time, when Trump was in office, I wasn't tripping about it either. I mean,
Right.
I have a lot of my business mentors voted for George W. Bush.
Right.
So, and they were black. So I'm around those types of folks. But I want to establish that first. As far as the question you're asking, so here's the thing. All this stuff, it's kind of like, okay, if let's look at it like this. If you rack up either a whole bunch of debt or you rack up a whole bunch of charges, let's say you're in and out of the legal system, and you've been given a couple of outs here or there by the police or by the judges, and they see this record, they see all the chances you've been given, and you're still playing, and then you get the wrong judge on the right day, and they decide they're going to make an example of you because your time is run out, and pretty much all that debt, with prayer for judgments and stuff, and tickets and stuff, a prayer for judgment is, okay, we're going to let this go. You still pay a fee, court costs. But if you do something again, we're bringing what you did, that brought you back here, and we're bringing the last thing and all that other stuff. It's all coming, it's hitting you like a ton of bricks. That's kind of what's going on with the Democratic Party. All this stuff has happened over time, over generations, broken promises. Obviously, they've used black women as a buffer class, meaning running money through black women, because at the end of the day, black women are not a threat, and they're just not, and no woman is a threat to any system. That's true for every group. Black women are no different. It's the men that are a threat. So how do you undermine men by saying you're still helping black people? And that's the way, and it's worked out pretty well. Now that they're running out of money, now that they're running out of excuses, now that they're running out of lies, now that you have the internet, we have other voices, folks like Tarita She, Professor Black Truth, who's one of my favorites. You have Jason Black. You have other people that are holding a lot of the people that these people, like, Roland Martin and people like that have been on mainstream media accountable. Now they have to actually answer for a lot of the stuff they've been saying and make it make sense. Why should I vote for you this time? And not only is reparations not being addressed, the people are seeing other people address other situations. We understand the Palestinian and Israel situation, the Ukraine situation, money being pushed everywhere, but our own infrastructure, whether it's in black areas or not, these answers aren't being met, to the point where even other Democrats are asking, why is this dude here? And then the age thing doesn't help, because they're both old. So when you look at this, what Trump benefits from, if Trump doesn't have the greatest record, but he's the quote unquote alternative. And it's kind of like its own momentum. It's kind of like he's taken so many hits, hitting him loses its traction over time. And so people are seeing him, he may not be the best option, but they're kind of looking at better the devil I don't know than what's already here.
Right.
And the stuff that usually works to counter that isn't working. As far as black men, and as far as black men in particular, you have guys, I'm gonna answer this and I'll leave it, I'll bring it back. You have guys that are pom Trump supporters, or diehard Trump supporters. They're conservatives, and they like Trump's brand of conservative, that populist, because they are advocates for change. They want the needle moved.
Right.
They want the needle moved. They see the pendulum has swung way too far in Crazyville. And a lot of people believe that to certain degrees, but it's different levels to it. And I'm not going to break that down until you get another question. But at the end of the day, what it all comes back to is folks are tired of the status quo. Quite frankly, I call it the gynocracy. It's representative of the status quo. People, the gynocracy is pretty much, think of it as like Disney is WS, and then the gynocracy is like Lucasfilm. It's a division of it. And the Democrats would be like Marvel. They're divisions of it. And so people want change, and they want change almost no matter where it comes from. And this is why somebody like Trump seems to be immune to all of the stuff. He's gotten charges, all the stuff. People don't care. A lot of black people don't care. Black men don't care. And here's the thing. It may not be as much as white people, but you don't need that many black people to vote for Trump or stay home. Think of it this way. A vote for Donald Trump is really 2 votes, because that's a vote the Democrats don't get from a black person. They typically depend on, and that's also a vote for him. A vote to stay home is 1 vote. So even if people may not be able to bring themselves to vote for Donald Trump, Donald Trump just has to convince enough people not to vote against him. That's how Biden got in office the first place, voting against Donald Trump to get him out of there. Well, he doesn't have that problem because now he's running back for election, and a lot of people can tell themselves, hey, he's only going to be in there 4 years no matter what happens. So am I going to deal with 4 years of stuff that Biden said would happen that did not happen, things that he could have did that he didn't do? And then things he did that he didn't say he would do, like bringing all these people in here? Or am I going to vote for what the last 4 years? So it's really a question, was the 4 years under Trump, when you get past the hysteria, really worse? When obviously COVID's COVID, but outside of COVID, then the 4 years you were under Biden. And unfortunately, even a lot of Democrats have to say the 4 years under Trump were better, minus COVID. So that's the answer to the question as far as why you see that momentum.
All right, no doubt. Hey, well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. You're doing a great job breaking things down. We're going to get deep into it. But in the meantime, before Brother Ed and I continue to break this down, shout out to my man, Salty Balls for the 5. Salty Balls says, Dems want to bring in gibbleocracy. No doubt. I appreciate it, Brother Saul, for the 5, and you and Dynamite.
Yeah, we need to start writing these names down. Like all of these like words and phrases, we could create a book out of it, I swear.
To my man Greg, the stand up for the $20 super hitter. He said salute, supposed to be a great one tonight. Yes, me and we're gonna tell it. This has been in the making for a while. Should be a great one tonight. We can do a live stream about black women following black men to Thailand. That's on the market, Brazil and Colombia. Many think they are trying to mess the spot up. And based on that, you are one of the #1 sponsors of the stream. And that's a deal. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit, but your volume is down.
Okay, can you hear the soundboard?
No.
Where's the soundboard? Okay, all right. Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you a little bit better now.
Okay, let me figure it out. And then also, Greg with Scholar, shout out to him. And then also shout out to my man, Salty Balls, as he sent a $5, a $50 super sticker. And he is the #1 sponsor of the stream on tonight, him and Greg with Scholar. Salty Balls, I appreciate the brother. You are the #1 sponsor of the stream. And once again, brother, I appreciate it. Hold tight. Let me show you some love. All right, guys. Ed, I'm gonna check this mic in a minute, but before we get deeper into it, thank you once again, man, for coming on. I love your commentary. I love you being as savvy as you are, standing up firm and strong for what you believe in, not wavering your convictions, and also because you're a Tar Heel like myself, I got special love for you. But in the meantime, the robot told me to break this thing down, and my kosher bot said these Negroes, Ed, are voting for Trump for a myriad of reasons. So, KosherBot, I need you to load the machine and educate the people. KosherBot, Load the machine.
Yes, Master Kosher, at your service. Right away.
Nanobots. Transform.
Black Men for Trump is a movement that aims to promote the support of African American men for President Donald Trump. The movement has gained attention and sparked debates within the political landscape. Many African American men have openly expressed their support for President Trump, citing his economic policies and criminal justice reforms as key reasons for their endorsement. They believe that his policies have created jobs and economic opportunities, thus benefiting the African American community. Moreover, some argue that President Trump's criminal justice reforms, such as the First Step Act, have brought much-needed changes to the system and have been beneficial to African Americans who have been disproportionately affected by harsh sentencing laws. Black Men for Trump has organized events, rallies, and social media campaigns to spread their message and encourage more African American men to support President Trump. They believe that it is important to challenge the assumption that all African Americans vote for Democratic candidates, highlighting the diversity of political thought within the community. However, the movement has faced criticism and backlash from those who argue that President Trump's rhetoric and actions have been divisive and harmful to minority communities. Some believe that his policies do not address the root causes of systemic racism and inequality. The debate surrounding Black Men for Trump highlights the complexity and diversity of political views within the African American community. It raises important questions about the impact of policy decisions on different groups within society and emphasizes the need for open and respectful dialogue on these issues.
All right, so Ed, you heard that. What did you think about that based on what she was saying and her analysis? What did you gather from that, real quick?
I mean, it's shout out to ChatGPT, but it's more political speak. I mean, the way I look at politics amongst the Black community is really different. A lot of people always see it through the realm of, what team you play for: Democrats, Republicans, conservative, and liberal. Black people are more conservative than they are liberal. However, there are liberal elements, and so, I mean, as far as organizations for Trump, there are organizations for Trump, but it really comes down to, are you afraid of Trump? Are you afraid of, white supremacy being in the White House and what that represents? Or do you have a broader view of that? Because ultimately, Biden was trained by somebody that was a known white supremacist. Like, literally, he was a white supremacist. That I forget that senator's name, but he was from West Virginia. He was one of the longest senators in history. Right. So, to me, it's the opposite side of the same coin. And when if you understand Biden's history, Biden has done a lot of stuff, like actual stuff on the table. So ultimately, that's a lot of that just political speak that they're giving. It's something I would see on Politico or something like that. Like, it sounds like a commercial. But yeah, there's a lot of folks that are looking at voting against Biden or for Trump for very different reasons. And I think what happens in the community is we dismiss those reasons. Dismissing them doesn't mean you're going to get the outcome that you want. If you want Black people to not vote for Trump, you have to give them a reason to vote for Biden. And the Democrats have absolutely failed in that.
Yeah, I agree. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Perfect. I got my mic on. All right. And, this show is important, Ed, like I said, man, for a myriad of reasons. It harkens unto the struggles of people. Listen, let me say what you just said a minute ago. So I am a licensed or registered Democrat, but I don't embrace the policies of the Democratic Party. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm a policy conservative. I'm not either Democrat or Republican, but I am pro-policy. And in my opinion, the policies of Trump didn't hurt Black people. It actually helped Black people. It helped a lot of Black men. And so, the thing I don't understand, Ed, and you help me out, man. You're a very analytical brother.
The evidence is profound. You can show people the evidence over and over and over and over again where, the policies of the left have been adversarial to black people. You might say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, it's simple. The crime bill that was erected. Kamala Harris played a role in that crime bill. Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. He did so many other things in the past that were highly racist. But Trump, in my opinion, even though Trump is not perfect, I don't know any policies that Trump had more or less erected that has been adversarial to black people, whether it be from a fiscal perspective or either from a social perspective. If you know any policies that he created during his tenure that was adversarial, I'm talking about policy only to black people, educate me, because I don't know any policies. And so this last reign of the 4-year election, it's like immigrants are coming in at an all-time high. These liberal gynocratic policies are impacting men and families, but especially black men. Heteronormative masculinity, in my opinion, is under attack. And so it's beginning more and more and more and more bizarre. And so it's to the point now, just like, I tell people over and over again, consistent with Dr. William Glasser, needs drive behaviors. Based on the premise of Dr. William Glasser from a psychoanalytic perspective, he said there were 5 principles that more or less drive behavior. He said, number 1, it was power. The black man in America, or men in general, have been disenfranchised as it relates to power in modern times. That's number 1. He said power, fun, freedom, belonging, and survival. Dr. Glasser said that when people don't get their needs met, there's a therapeutic component called reality therapy. The reality is this, Brother Edward. People are checking out. Black men are checking out. Black men are becoming indifferent. Black men are saying, if you're going to get my love and my support, you're going to be more than the better version of yourself. And it seems like there are so many now that are trying to come back and negotiate with men based on the policies that they voted for, because by and large, many women, and sadly some of our sisters, not all the sisters, shout out to the good women, but they voted for the policies that are detrimental to the well-being of black men and black families. And what I've seen on a very seminal level is this, Brother Edward. When it comes down to power, they vote individualism. But when it comes down to subjugation or servitude, then they talk family. And so to the point, it's almost like they are separate entities only when it's convenient. I created a term called the commodification of subjugation. They see black men as accessories and commodities only to become subjugated when it's beneficial to them. And what I'm saying, you cannot have a more perfect union where there's a fracture in the dynamics of the relationship. How can two walk together unless they agree? And that's the issue that I'm seeing now in the dynamics between black men and black women. What say you? Go ahead, brother.
I mean, well, the Democrats made a deal with black women in the aftermath of, the civil rights movement. And this is where, you've done research on, I'm trying to think of the Moynihan report.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to the Moynihan report, it talks about the split and stuff like that and what needed to be done. And this is how you saw the bait and switch, where white women were able to be labeled as a minority. White women basically took a lot of the wealth that was supposed to go to black men that would have been passed down to black women. And for nothing else, black women live longer than us. So we have nobody else to give it to but them if we're married. This is the thing. This is quite frankly how white women get a lot of their wealth, by the way.
Right.
Men. And this is why you see that gap really split amongst black wealth after the fact. It's come closer in some ways, but every time there's an economic issue, it really, blows up. And so they made a different deal with black women. Black women been in denial about that, trying to act like that didn't happen, but it did. And now it's to the point now where they're not even doing a lot for black women. So what they do is they put women like Kamala Harris, Susan Rice, a lot of these AKAs. They've created this myth of every black woman is what BGS Aborn would call a 92, which is basically a top 10% earner, like a 90 to 100,000 and above earner. So the way everybody thinks black women just make all this money, and they don't. But this is a way, so when you actually see the people on TV, like your media people, your actual politicians, your mayors, and all of that, you see yourself in them because the perception is they're making the same amount of money as you, or you're making the same amount of money as them. It's crazy when you think about it, but the reality is this is how Caucasians think too. This is why the unions have gotten weaker too, because people identify with money that they may have in the future versus the reality of where they are. So they don't vote within their self-interest in that way. Also, when you look at tax benefits that women get, when you look at a lot of these judges, because a lot of it's mainly these Democratic, but it's conservative too, but mainly these liberal judges that say the woman is to get the child all the time, and really enforces a lot of this stuff, enforces a lot of these laws. And yes, their conservatives have their stuff they need to fix too on that. Make no mistake. But this is what reinforces this stuff because people are not really asking why are these judges being voted in and all of that. So now they've gotten so lazy and or apathetic with the black vote. They're not even giving black women what they used to give. Remember, Section 8 is not. And keep in mind, these are not federal things. Most of these stuff is like state and local things. And that's the thing people like, even in North Carolina, I'm from Chicago originally. North Carolina's Democrats are very different than Chicago's Democrats. And it's in a very different situation where North Carolina tries to be progressive, but it's still in the South. So when people say you're a Democrat in North Carolina, that's not the same as saying you're a Democrat in Chicago. That is very different because the power structure is not the same. Like Pat McCrory was very popular mayor in Charlotte. And black people were very much on that bathroom law that he proposed, but liberals didn't like that. So, they try to use us as a mechanism to try to counteract that stuff or create narratives around certain conservative politicians that had to win the black vote in order to win because of the nature how Charlotte is built. So when people hear somebody say they're a Republican or Democrat, all these things automatically starts happening in their head that leads to certain, stuff you got to fight back. So anyway, going back to your question, though, at the end of the day, the Democrats have become absolutely apathetic to black people, whether it's black. They never cared about black men. They just assume they get the women, they get the men, and now they're not even getting the women. And you see that in the commercials that they give for black men. You see that. You see it in some of the media personalities and certain things that they've said on like CNN or MSNBC about men just need to follow behind women. But at the same time, we need to lead too. I don't know how that works, but maybe you can explain that to me.
Well, let me ask you a question, man. You are a millennial, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I'm 37.
You're 37, so you
I'm in the middle.
Yeah. You're like
the oldest millennials are 43, 44 now.
Yeah. They call them zennials, but you're a true millennial. When you think about policy and how policy have impacted you in your young 37 years, how has policy impacted you in a negative way, whether from a fiscal perspective, whether from whatever perspective you can think about, how have democratic policies impacted you as a black man in a negative way in this current milieu that we live?
Well, luckily, I grew up. I went to school for the most part, middle school and up in Raleigh. Or not Raleigh, actually a suburb of Raleigh, so in Wade County. So, and you know how Wade County is pretty much ran. So Wade County is pretty much in the middle. It went slightly for Trump. It went slightly. No, it did go slightly for Biden. It went slightly for George W. Bush. It went pretty well for Obama both times. So this area is very like in the middle. And then I mean that in a great sense of word. So luckily, I benefited from a lot of stuff as far as the education stuff that the Democrats and Republicans worked together on because they wanted to put North Carolina on the map. Whether they were on the same page on that. And so now that being said, I was born, I lived in Chicago my earlier years. And so as the aftermath of a lot of Chicago stuff, whether it's the real estate stuff, I went to a lot of different schools, and although Chicago is not as bad as like areas like Baltimore and stuff like that, you still have that Midwestern, boss party type of stuff with the dailies and stuff like that, corrupt body politics, and then black people that are corralled around. I mean, Chicago is notorious for like gun violence and stuff in the South Side of Chicago with, so yeah, I saw it from that perspective. And, yeah. So, I mean, in North Carolina, lucked out. That was my mom that actually made the decision to come here, even though everybody thought she was crazy. But I definitely saw it in Chicago. So it's really, as far as the policy standpoint, the biggest issue now is the biggest issue now is one of the biggest issues is the immigration thing, because pretty
Right.
much what they're trying to do is dilute the black vote.
Right.
And what you're doing is, because black people have economically supported these groups, it's not really put on white people as a burden to support them on a day to day. This is why they put them in black areas. It's more of an opportunity cost as well. It's them supporting these groups and what they haven't done for us at the state and local level. Also, when you look at what they have not done for black men, in particular black boys, effeminizing these schools, not
Yes.
making these schools for boys, things like, the trades used to be in high school. You could go to auto school, you could get exposed to these things, and then kind of finish up. Now they push that stuff up into the community school where you have to pay for it. Now, like I said, Wake Tech is one of the best community schools in the country.
Yes, sir.
But in Chicago, these areas are not as easily accessed. And then we're not even talking about the violence and just them trying to be liberal on crime to counteract conservatives being really quote unquote hard on crime. And so the biggest issue is, and I'll say this and I'll be done. The biggest issue is the Democrats have gotten away from the economic side. The reason people voted for the Democrats was not because of liberal policies. It was because economic and class kind of situations and infrastructure type of stuff like that. And where they have messed up is they have gotten completely away from the economic factors. They basically gave that to the Republicans based on branding and messaging. And they have basically gone towards, they've gone more towards these like liberal side projects, such as the alphabet community, pushing that as far as that can go.
Right.
Like they've gone way more into this social engineering type of stuff. And it's not just, it's the corporations as well that back that up. And they start with really disenfranchising men. They experiment with black folks, and what white men they are still grappling with is they have taken a lot of what they've experimented with black men on, and they've exported that into white culture. This is why white women are the way that they are now, and they're starting to act more like black women because they use white women as a buffer class. Remember, white women are the largest demographic of all the demographics. So anyway, that's the answer.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Shout out to my man, the International Quiet Storm, for the $20 piece. Thank you, the Quiet Storm, as you are a channel member, along with Salty Balls and many others. And guys, if you are not members of my YouTube channel, I'm gonna run the commercial in a minute. Go subscribe to the membership. I'm gonna do I'm gonna do exclusive content for members only. My business is about to grow and explode as a licensed professional. I might not be doing a lot of YouTube as much in the future, but enjoy it while you can. So go ahead and sign up for the membership at some point as my man Ed and I break this thing down. But shout out to my man, the Quiet Storm. He said for tonight's therapy session, Kosher, we got to get Ed. We got to get Ed to say in the camera, "Come pick me up." Just one more time for the audience. Ed, I don't know what he's talking about, but I'll let you handle that. And then also shout out to my man, he said Hurricane Tax. My man D. Scott, shout out to that brother. And then also shout out to Hurricane Ed in the house with Kosher. Black men need to run to the community to build a future without 90% of the B-dubs. SYSBM is the only way to go. Vote Trump, no doubt. And I tell people, once again, I am a policy advocate first. I'm neither Democrat or Republican because they both are highly flawed, but I am a policy advocate. Jeremiah Wright said something one time, Edward, and I hope you can hear the soundboard. He said that the chickens,
America's chickens, coming home.
But if that is the case, what does that mean to you when it comes down to relationships between black men and black women?
So I'll start here. Like, as far as America, like, I'll give you, because when I look at this very, you said analytical, I look at this very pragmatic. I don't have this kind of, I can't believe you did this to us and to stuff like that with it. That's in the background, but as far as how I look at it, I don't. A lot of this stuff, and it's going to be the same way how I look at black men and black women. You have short-term best interests, medium-term best interests, and long-term best interests.
Right.
Obviously, long-term best interests are typically the most important in anything. But obviously, the human condition, wants to benefit from all of that. So I understand why it's going to be factors to all that. So if you look at America, what America has done particularly WS has done is they have focused on their short-term best interest so much so that now it has become cannibalistic to even its own people. This is the class warfare part that's always existed in the United States that you're seeing a lot of disenfranchised white men starting to figure out. They call it the niggization of white men. And so white men don't understand that because they can't grapple with that. The people that look like them, but in higher classes, are waging class warfare. They used to remember this, but now they have forgotten that. Now they want to do is what SWP say: blame black men for breathing a white man's air. And this is their inability to deal with it. So a perfect example of this is, like, for instance, in the 2000s, while we were fighting the war in Iraq, because rather than dealing with Afghanistan, just bombing them and then leaving, what we did was we wanted to create a war in Iraq over, I guess, oil tearing stuff down so you can give certain corporations reasons to rebuild it and get paid off of that via government money. It was basically a government bailout in that way. Nobody liked it. Our reputation really was squandered after, 9/11 happened, and a lot of people were on our side, and it's very unfortunate. In that time, though, China was basically, and India was actually in Africa before China heavy. People forget that. But China was basically building up their infrastructure in India. China was a rival that they knew would be a chief rival to the United States, to global power. So basically the Western African countries, despite history, were still pretty much on our side and wanted to make a deal with America. We basically squandered that so much so that when 2008 and we screwed with the monetary system one too many sides, now you're dealing with stuff like BRICS. Now you deal with these countries that are starting to leave the American dollar, which is the chief power reserve currency that we've had in order to basically be able to leverage the world without having to use actual hard power. We've used the presence of hard power, but the actual having to use American bodies, which, let's be clear, Americans are only going to have a certain taste for so long, for corporate stuff, they did not have to do. And so my point is, they have sacrificed many things for their long-term best interest. We're not even going to talk about moving jobs overseas for temporary money for smaller people. And then come now you don't have these jobs, you don't have this infrastructure, you don't have the manufacturing powers, what you need. Now, what does that have to do with the original question of black women and black men? Black women have done the same thing. I go back to what I said before. When the Moynihan report happened and these resources were supposed to go to black men to create an actual patriarchy that was in alignment with how white people do it. This is a system for the women to ultimately benefit, for black men to be married, for black men to have families so women can benefit, so these women can have this soft life that they want and not have to work and do all the stuff they talk about now. The reality is they chose to go with the white woman. They chose to let the white woman get in her ear, and basically rather than getting more of the white man's money, they basically got the money that was supposed to go to us in order to help create this community. So basically they took this check, which is nothing, to be honest with you, Section 8 housing and beat up neighborhoods and all of this, and the white woman pretty much took that money. I always tell you, nobody has taken more than from the black woman than the white woman. Nobody kisses the ass of the white woman more than the black woman, despite what people want to say it's black men. So my point is, now all of this stuff is coming back because what's happening is millennials, and it's not the first people to figure this out, it's just we're the first ones with the internet. So basically millennials are seeing this history, seeing the books have been written about it, like Dark Ghetto, Daughters of the Trade, and we're knowing that this stuff was there, this stuff was known. And so now the trust, and this is the most important part about what I'm going to say, trust is not a renewable resource. Trust is like trees. Europe used to have a whole bunch of trees. They don't now. They used to have a bunch of forests. They don't now. Trust is not a renewable resource. You get rid of Amazon rainforest, it's not coming back. The desert used to be a jungle once upon a time in Earth's history. These things don't come back. So like that, they don't. So the reality is you have had the trust completely broken, and they try to blame the manosphere for this. But in reality is, I'm not going another generation where dudes are going to sacrifice so y'all can just play again like that.
Right.
In order to fix this situation, you're going to have to go through it, which means the truth is going to have to be told. Otherwise, it's just going to be in this kind of pseudo underclass BS that, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, will be permanent. So basically, the biggest thing is trust. Trust is now broken, and it's more dudes. Honestly, if the manosphere left today, it doesn't matter anymore because the Z's are old enough. The Z's have observed what the women they've done outside of our space. And quite frankly, the stuff is like in its own forward momentum at this point. The purple pill stuff pretty much is like red pill from like 10 years ago. But even though they try to act like they're not red pill, you've got channels such as yourself, lead attorney that, they are in the manosphere or they're manosphere adjacent.
Right.
Like I kind of put you in kind of the same category as you more claim the manosphere than media man, but it's a different type of view. Somebody seeing you and seeing me are going to get two different views because you're an older gentleman, you have a family, you have a profession. Same thing kind of like with media man. So it's not gonna be met with the same kind of edge that they get from me. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely and adjacent. I always tell people, before there was the manosphere, I was always coaching. I've been advocating for boys and men really my whole life. I was when I went to UNC Chapel Hill, my seminal work was based on understanding the school to prison pipeline. I worked with adjudicated youth in North Carolina for years. I taught school for 5 years. And from time to time, I like to let them know, Edward, because you're a young cat. You're like a little brother to me. But I let them know, Edward, that I've always been kosher. Hold tight.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was. I was that signal male crying out in the wilderness for justice and equality for those that are downtrodden and broken, those that are voiceless. I was the kosher clinician before I was the kosher clinician on the internet. My plight and my war cry for justice and humanity is nothing fake, but I've always been kosher. And sit back and get this kosher fun. Hello everyone. Is there equality in America, fact or fantasy? First of all, I would like to salute all fellow human beings and most graciously those who are beacons of light for justice and righteousness. To vocally explain the tenets of equality, fact or fantasy, I must begin with the combination of two alphabets, I and F, which spells there's no respect of person, but gives protection to all them that fear him. So therefore I ask you this profound and non-scholastic question. If there was equality in America, will I be standing here today? You decide, fact or fantasy. All right.
This is Kosher Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Kosher.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Finders keepers, losers we.
For me and all set you free.
Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, activation, humiliation, obligation to my nation.
There's a first for everything, and now I've been name dropped in a chart-topping rap song. Listen.
Well, shut up, Patriot J, Benny Johnson, Big Bongino, Alex Jones. Free my dogs and lock up the radical left gone crazy. I don't bail, I won't see inside a cell. Shut up, thugger, free my slime, slat, YSL. They tryna lock me up, but I'm plugged in ATL. Got homies doing life in jail, they living in hell. These DAs acting silly, my mugshot is worth a billy. So some merchant made a milli, shot McMillie out in Philly. Shot the baby, shot the Sosa, Benny Butcher, them my rollers. Called me racist, but these rappers riding with me, them my soldiers. Mega, 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 I am not who they are after. I'm just in the way they want to get to you, but
all right, Ed, some would say that those that are emissaries of President Trump are disingenuous. Shout out to my man, The Wall Report, for the $8 cash app. I appreciate The Wall Report. And you are Dynamite. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, The Wall Report, for the $8. I appreciate it, sir. But when I said something earlier, I said that when the wicked reign, the people suffer. COVID brought a lot of negative changes to a lot of people back in the early 2000s. And then the policies now with inflation being at an all-time high, to parrot that, a term that I created called hoflation, is at an all-time high as well. How does hoflation, in your best estimate, and the current policies now, do you think it's going to lead to a mass exodus And if there is a mass exodus, do you see it happening in this in the next election cycle or further years further up the road?
Yeah, so when you say a mass exodus, you mean from the Democratic Party? You mean from dating black women?
That's an excellent response. So more or less from the Democratic Party, that's number one, but from black women or white men as well in America, and more or less just setting out. Because I've heard where they saying that, men are becoming indifferent. Are you seeing the indifference not only from liberal policies, that's number one, but then number two, men becoming indifferent, Brother Ed, as it relates to dating women in the West, white or black?
No, it'll be like a continual drum beat. It won't be like this just absolute drop off. I mean, what you may see as far as a drop off is black men just not voting. And here's the thing, Asians don't vote like that.
Right.
They just focus on economics. So it's going to be just more focused on those that can, get themselves in an economic standpoint. And this is where you see, certain black people starting to tap more in the global situation. Certain folks that get in the military starting to be smarter about what they do with their service from an economic standpoint. People just putting themselves in a good position. And that's as far as millennials. Now, if you look at Z's, I can't really speak for them because honestly, the way they've been socialized, there's certain expectations that millennials had, and then those expectations weren't met. So, they deal with that accordingly, with blaming the older generations, whatever. These millennials weren't given hope.
Right.
These millennials, they pretty much knew. It's kind of like how millennials know Social Security is not going to be there for us, so you better get in where you fit in. And we've kind of accepted that. These millennials don't think jobs are available, stuff like it's available. This is why they want to be influencers and stuff like that. They want to get in that internet money, that digital economy, which there's money to be had if you know how to tap into it, not necessarily with being an influencer. But yeah, so really it's not so they're not going to have so really not voting is going to be the issue because they're not going to have anything that they can really do because they've been so franchised. So it's really a not voting thing that's going to be the issue versus a vote for the Republican thing, because the Republicans don't necessarily be solving these problems either.
Right.
Both parties do this kind of I'm not the other one, and they play this back and forth. And they
right.
Together. I mean, the real problem is the donors at the end of the day. That's actually the problem.
No, I agree with you, and that's why I say I'm a policy advocate first.
And no, I know that, and I'm just saying it for the audience. And the problem too is Citizens United. That's another thing too. Is in 2005. People forgot about that. And we're 18 years past that, and we've been like 3 election cycles going on 4 now. About 4, and then seeing those effects. And it was going to take time for those effects. Basically, for those of y'all that don't know, Citizens United was pretty much a Supreme Court, a thing that led to the Supreme Court pretty much making it so corporations could more freely. It basically killed campaign finance laws that Russ Feingold and John McCain put together and kept being reaffirmed. So when you saw that, that's when you really saw a lot of this stuff really, really split, even outside of black people. But this is when you saw the craziness really start to happen. And this is also what basically really took out a lot of union powers, the powers of unions and stuff like that. And so the Democrats replaced that money that used to come from unions that had them tethered to middle class. And keep in mind, this is more white people stuff. Black people, we still do what we deal with.
Right.
But tethered to the middle class, they had to run to tech companies. And so this was the rise of tech companies like Apple and all of that. Remember when Citizens United was passed, I think it was 2005, as I said. This is 3 years before the iPhone. This is kind of, so when iPhone, iPad, so Apple as you know them today, Apple at once upon a time was about to go bankrupt. So when you see these companies, Google was not Google that you know it now. Instagram didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist. So the more technical companies that emerge, the Democrats more lean on them for that money to replace that union money. And this is why a lot of these liberal policies that you see that's like insane. Remember, we went from the Defense of Marriage Act to where to you can pick your gender as a minor.
Right.
In like 10 years. That's why that happened. So the reality is what you're seeing is people are like, if there's nothing for me to vote for, I'm not going to vote. Now, keep in mind, a vote of no confidence is a vote. And make no mistake, just people say if you vote, you have no power. That's not true. Because if you want, that's not true. Because there's other ways. And I'm not even talking about riots or nothing like that. There's economic ways. There's a lot of ways to leverage power outside of just voting. I'm not an advocate to not vote. If you want to ask my personal opinion, that black people should go in these primaries and big numbers and basically get rid of most of the Congressional Black Caucus and replace them. And second of all, start dealing with other Democrats and start priming them to death. That's why the Republicans are they're submissive to the right, because they know they'll get primary. And that's actually where Trump's power actually comes from. Trump's ability to move bodies to primary people. That's how he was getting all these people out of there. And that's why they're scared. And donors can't protect against that, because ads can't fix that.
Right.
You can actually move people. Ads just solve the exposure problem. Ads don't solve, and it's not like Trump is just straight up lying about what Republicans are not doing.
Yeah. I met Trump, man, when he came to the Tar Heel State. I was downtown, and Trump for many years, Ed, probably before you was even born, or maybe you were a baby in the '80s, and especially in the '90s, he resonated a lot with black people. Trump was like a G, and a lot of people, black men, resonate with Trump because they understood how the system had, quote unquote, oppressed them, to the point that when Trump got indicted here recently, he was able to raise over $7 billion, I think $7 billion, $7.1 million or something with the shirt that he had. And so them trying to hurt Trump is actually helping Trump. And to the point now, Ed, I'm going to show you something, brother. I don't know if you heard about it recently. It happened recently in Colorado. I don't know if you heard about that, but they're trying to take Trump off the ballot in Colorado.
Yeah, I heard they were successful at doing that.
Right. And let me tell you something, Ed, what I've learned. When a person is constantly denigrating you, then they see you as a threat. I have never in my life seen a president more scrutinized than President Trump. And the reason why, because, and this is the esoteric. Some believe that they're trying to usher in a one world government. Some call it a Hegelian dialectic. Some call it the spirit or the zeitgeist of this age, the age of Aquarius, where they're trying to, subjugate and change the trajectory of traditionalism in the family. But that's for another discussion, another topic. But let's look at this real quick, and then we're going to get back into that clip that I got, and then we're going to break down, because you do a great job, about why so many black men are voting for Trump. Shout out to my man, shout out to somebody else. They donated $5, I believe. Who was it? I want to make sure. My man, the Passport business class for the two. He said if Trump's win, it would be historic. I'm voting Trump, no doubt, brother. I appreciate it. And my man James Wigate said Hurricane Ed in the house with Coach. Black men need to run to the community to build a future. Without 90% of B-dubs, SYSBM is the only way to go. And let's look at this real quick, Ed. I want you to help me break it down. You're a very analytical young man. And let's look at this real quick.
We begin tonight with breaking news from Colorado, where the state Supreme Court has just disqualified former President Donald Trump from Colorado's 2024 primary election ballot. In its ruling, the court cited the 14th Amendment, finding that Mr. Trump engaged in insurrection for his role in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Today's ruling is stayed until January 4th to allow for an appeal, and the legal fight is just beginning. And late word, the Trump campaign is responding tonight. Garrett Hake is following this. He has the latest details for us. Garrett, could this have an impact on the Republican frontrunner?
It absolutely could, Lester. This is a stunning decision here from the Colorado Supreme Court, which tonight ruled that former President Trump is disqualified from serving as president again, citing his actions on January 6th, then ruling that, quote, because he is disqualified, it would be wrong to allow him as a candidate on the Colorado primary ballot. The court here citing the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which says that no person can serve as an officer of the United States who engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. The Trump campaign tonight calling this decision completely flawed and vowing a...
Well, this is going to sound controversial, but I don't believe that he played a role in the insurrection. I don't believe that. I believe that they have been trying to attack this man for the longest because they know he resonates with people. He's powerful. And it's stopping their so-called agenda. The comments, Ed, they said the corrupt establishment is afraid of Trump. Screw the Democratic rats. Latinos for Trump. Latinos are voting. Small step for man, giant for all of America. Shame on you, Colorado. Anything to undermine the best president of our lifetime. I hope all 50 states follow suit. Please, more states need to follow Colorado. Please. Colorado's becoming more like California, full of liberal communists. And so, you get different ones. MAGA is effing fuming with a bunch of snowflakes. And so you get a bunch of conversations. And one will argue that many Republicans are Republicans in name only, Ed. They're Republicans in name only. They are rhinos. They are Republicans in name only. But they breathe, their heartbeat is no different than the liberal policies or the liberals that are part of a zeitgeist movement where they're trying to undermine Donald Trump. Pence, one will argue, undermined Donald Trump. What do you think about them? Number one, them taking him off the Colorado ballot. Two, the more they try to hurt him, the more famous he get. And three, why so many Latinos are voting for Trump. Load the question once again. Why Latinos are voting for Trump? Why are they afraid of Trump? Number two, and I forgot the other question. But anyway, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I got it. As far as why they took him off the ballot, they're trying to start a domino effect. They clearly don't think they can beat Trump. That's very obvious. And you have to ask yourself, if you don't think you can beat Trump, then why? Because is it because you don't think you can get? Because it's not just this stuff is going on in the economy. What it is, there's certain stuff Biden said he didn't do. And the reality is the Democrats are basically dead set on making a party about certain groups and not the groups that actually are the reason why they won. And these other groups have donor power. It's not just corporations. Y'all know who they are. Y'all know the different ones. I'm not even going to mention them. You know who they are. These are the type of interests. And black people, I mean, at the end of the day, they don't want to run the right way. Because the truth is, one thing traditionally in this country is when it comes down to it, you got to beat them. If you got to take it to the people, and the people have to make a decision. And it's really fundamentally un-American to try to take him off the game board like that. But Colorado didn't vote for Trump anyway like that in any of the time. So that in itself isn't an issue. And notice how they're doing it through the court too. They're not doing it through like a vote or a referendum. So they're trying to go into these courts. These are the same people. And understand, I'm very aware of Trump in the Central Park 5 and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm very neutral on Trump. That being said, these are the same people that are crying that things like affirmative action and certain policies they were trying to go after because of with the courts that they picked, but you all want to use the courts for you all's own stuff. I mean, and then when you look at with the insurrection, what the charges that these people got and actually what they did, I mean, they didn't they were getting the same kind of charges they're giving Jonathan Majors. 1 year here, 1 year there. I mean, it's all kidnapping the governor. They didn't want to bring that to trial. I mean, so it's like y'all want to put this all on him and not deal with the people that actually did it. And even if you believe, I get like their legal logic from it. If you say, okay, he was a part of the insurrection, I definitely get that. And he really needed to just eat the loss. And that's my personal opinion on it. But at the same time, so that's the first like question as far as what do I think about that. As far as the Latinos for Trump, they identify with white and they identify with a white strongman. That's something that even if they're immigrants, you see a lot of that in their culture. He's a white dude. He kind of has that charisma and that machismo, that kind of patriarchal machismo that they're used to seeing. And so that's them. And Democrats bring a lot of Latins in here, whether they're immigrants or they've been here for a long time, thinking, and also all Latinos. Somebody got mad at me for saying Latins. You know what I'm talking about. Not I say it the way I say it.
Right.
Bring in a lot of Latins, overseas, not overseas, but from the border. That's them. But as far as the ones that's been here for generations, they are more conservative anyway, and a lot of them identify they're trying to be like the Italians. They want to be considered white, and they see Trump and the Republicans were voting for that. So when the Democrats bring them over here, black people have a unique history here, which is why black people were loyal to the Democratic Party, based on certain things that happened. These Hispanics don't have that loyalty. They don't have that same history. And they went about stuff differently because you don't really have one drop rules in Latin America like that. They chose to deal with it differently. So you're trying to do the same thing with a different group, and it's not going to work the same way. It's just not. They'll take the goodies you give them, and then they're going to jump right over there because they're going to do what's in their best interest.
Right.
Long term. So even if Trump does stuff, because when they build the wall for like Mexico, well, all the Latinos are not Mexican. So some of them don't care. And even the ones that are, there is such a thing as white Mexicans.
Right. They speak Castilla Spanish, but also they're, and see, here's the thing about, people get it confused because Hispaniola is just a culture. But in Latinx or whatever they call it, there are Afro-Latinas and Latinos, called Morenas, Moranos. There are ones that are indigenous Indian. There are some called mestizos. Then there are some that it's like you said, pure white. I think there is there might be a racialized normative to what you're saying, but also I think the reason why they vote for him because he's tradition, it symbolizes a family, but also a lot of Latinos are Roman Catholic. And so the values are more or less under that umbrella. It tends to more or less manifest or more or less pigeon around traditionalism and family. And Trump, in my mind, was consistent with what some would say one of the last alpha males left. You said something about the Central Park Five. I'm not going to talk about that too much. But let me play the devil's advocate for a minute, because I would say, by and large, Ed, let's say Trump did, say the Central Park Five was supposed to, be whatever. There were a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, even though they were wrong for judging those young brothers, but I'm sure that they were white and black, probably some other whites now that are in office that were more or less siding with the sentiment that the Central Park Five was guilty. Do you think because Trump more or less sided against the Central Park Five, does that indict him for all the good that he's done prior to that point and also after the fact? Or would that one thing make him no different than the others in your opinion?
All these people have good and bad with them. I mentioned it with Biden. Same thing with Bernie Sanders. They all have stuff. Bernie Sanders voted for some of the same laws that Biden put to bill when it comes to the crime bill. I mean, truth be told, there's a lot of black people that wanted Biden to put a crime bill together because what was going on in the aftermath of the drug era. So, I mean, it's all this stuff is more complicated. The biggest issue with a lot of this stuff is a lot of people don't know their history. They don't know their recent history. They don't know who they're dealing with, who they're talking about. They don't know how these people came up, whether it's Kamala Harris, whether it's Biden, whether it's Trump. And so they get into these, you're in North Carolina just like me. Right. It's Duke, Blue Devils, Tar Heels, NC State football, all that crap. And me, I personally don't have a dog in that fight. I prefer Duke. But at the same time,
come on, man. Hey, hold on, dog. Come on, Ed.
I'm from Chicago, so Michael Jordan.
I know, man. I'm having fun with you.
Michael Jordan, Kyrie Irving, so my thing, but I Uber for all of them when I did do that. And so UNC, because FYI, UNC is the liberal school, and Duke is not.
It is.
So from a alignment standpoint, as far as how they get down, that's probably more would be my speed, but there's more black people in UNC, and they're all cool. And in NC State, people consider them a bunch of rednecks, but actually they're not. They got an international business school. They're one of the largest student body populations in the country, if like the literally second. They literally are number one in land they control. So my point is, even with these politicians, I look at what they've done and what it is, not what the branding. And as a marketer, I uniquely understand how that stuff can be used for evil. Mm-hmm. Propaganda.
Right.
And so you have a lot of stuff that people don't know. And so they'll take that and run with that like that's the definitive answer. No, that's not the definitive answer on Trump. No. And another reason I brought that up too, because you got to understand, there's a lot of people, they always want to be on my case. And they'll be asking, why am I talking about this topic? Even though, you wanted me to talk about this topic and it's your show. And I know I can speak intelligently about it. And I don't often talk about politics. So this gives me the opportunity to get that.
Right.
Then you'll have people that they'll say things that I'm not saying and try to use that as that I don't know. So when I brought that up, it was mainly to say, look, I do know that stuff. It's not like I just don't know. In case somebody want to get real pro-black on me, with that. That's kind of why I brought that up, saying I understand these things, but at the same time, like I said before, Biden has done a lot of stuff too. Biden was, mentored by Strom Thurmond. And so I know also, and then you voted for him. So my thing is, if you're going to call Donald Trump a white supremacist, you definitely technically you have more of a case to call Biden than actually.
No.
The last thing I'm gonna say, the only thing that gets people off with Biden is Biden kind of got reintroduced to the American people as being the vice president under Obama. So people can say, well, he's not racist. He was under Obama.
That's BS. Yeah, that's BS.
That's how people would see it, and that's why you see that versus Trump. But I understand who they were before that. So
well, listen, when you got two political parties with Democrats and Republicans, it can draw different extremes to whatever the party is. And I'm going to break it down for you. In the Republican Party, you might have traditional conservatives. You might have, I don't even like to use terms like far right and all that goofy stuff. I just say evangelicals or whatever. But also you got logical, rational-minded black men. But also in those parties, sometimes you have extremists like that are nationalists or whatever. But just because the president is the president, it don't always mean that he resonates with those views. So people assume just because these extreme radical white groups support Trump that he must be that way. That's not true. When Obama voted for president in the past, when he was the president in the past, the alphabet community, especially his first term, resonated with him. But in his first election, it doesn't mean that he was necessarily alphabet until he started getting his pockets lined up. And then the second term, he started evolving. So just because certain groups resonate with you, there's only two body politics, which have what's called bipartisan politics. But in those groups, Ed, there are extremes that can associate themselves with those said groups, which in essence can make people assume just because they resonate with them, then they must be part of the problem. And that's not always the truth, Ed, to say the least. Shout out to my man, I Am Wild for the 5. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. To I Am 5 for the 5. Thank you, sir. And then also shout out to my man, Shannon Rawls, showing love, just supporting two of my favorite guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, brother Shannon Rawls, for the 20. And that's a deal, right? I appreciate it, Shannon. Thank you, sir, for the 20. I appreciate it, brother, showing some love, brother. I really appreciate it.
That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
Shout out once again to the Freeman's Journal. Salute to the Coach Clinician and Edward Anderson for the conversation. Yes, sir. And, I like something the Freeman's Journal said one time. He said about it was on Twitter. He said something about the Trump. Okay, here you go. Twitter removed the video of Trump telling people to go home. What would you say about that?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, the donor class are behind both parties. So you got certain ones that are the smart ones, like the oil companies. They do both. They do both to just cover their bases. But like the tech companies tend to be more with the Democrats. It's not just saying tech is all Democrat, because a lot of your now marketers are Republican or libertarian, but they'll align with the Republicans if they have to. But most of your donor class is they donate to the Democratic Party in heavy numbers. So yeah, of course they're gonna get that stuff removed. So that makes absolute sense with stuff like Twitter. That's why right now you see Disney and all these companies starting to line up to try to attack, X, because Elon Musk controls it now. And so it's not that same thing with like Jack Dorsey. It's gone more to the right the way they see it as far as the power structure. So they see it as a threat and they're dealing with it accordingly. This is also why they don't like TikTok, because TikTok is an international entity. And so they always make it like it's owned by China, when in reality, the CEO is Singaporean. It's out of Singapore, which are their own independent thing. They're not Hong Kong. But I can understand some of the stuff that they're saying, but I think they blow that up, because I think if it was really that bad, they would just say, I'm canceling it, period. Patriot Acted or something like that. If they really thought it was that much of a serious issue, I think they use it as more of a political football. So yeah, they'll scrub this stuff if they can. I mean, right now there's some kind of Homeland Security report on the manosphere at large that's going around, and they're trying to cluster the white manosphere, but also the black manosphere is going to be looked into that. And they literally when we use terms like gynocentric and stuff like that. So, we have to understand these corporations in a lot of ways, they take the money, they don't get taxed, and they fund directly to the, politicians, which is why they're not always that incentivized to tax them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Shout out to Galen Knight for the $5, and also shout out to her for another one, and also once again to the Roger Report. And Gail and Roger Report, thank you guys for more or less showing some love. The Wall Report, I'm sorry. And Cash App coming in. Thank you guys for the Cash App. Hold tight. Let me get this thing real quick. Thank you guys for the Cash App. I appreciate it.
It's the money.
well, I'm gonna play this clip for another minute. Then we're gonna bring up. I got a montage you and I gonna break down. I know you say you only got 2 hours, so I want to be respectful of your time. But I'm gonna bring up this clip again, Ed. It was a nasty clip, and then we're gonna talk about why black men are voting for Trump. Trump resonates with black men on a profound level. One, because they see the struggle, they see the injustice, and that's why black men are voting for Trump. But I'm gonna play that clip a minute, and then you and I gonna break down this montage real quick. So hold tight. Give me 1 minute, Ed. Hold tight. And then we're going to break down this montage. And thank you again, sir, for coming on. I really appreciate your kindness and taking the time to use your busy Saturday to be with the Kosher Clinician. I'm forever grateful for that, brother. I appreciate the whole time.
For me, and I'll set you free. Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, obligation to my nation.
There's a first for everything, and now I've been name dropped in a chart-topping rat song. Listen.
Well, shut up, Patriot J, Benny Johnson, Big Bongino, Alex Jones, free my dogs and lock up the radical left's gone crazy. I don't bail, I won't see inside a cell. Shut up, thugger, free my slime, slat, YSL. They tryna lock me up, but I'm plugged in ATL. Got homies doing life in jail, they living in hell. These DAs acting silly, my mugshot is worth a billy. So some merchant made a milli, shot me Millie out in Philly. Shot the baby, shot the Sosa, Benny Butcher, them my rollers. Called me racist, but these rappers riding with me, them my soldiers. Mega, I am not who they are after. I'm just in the way they want to get to you, but I won't let them. Cold-hearted, no, I'm artist, getting back to where I started. I don't need to do the race, I'ma beat them Rico.
For Mayor Trump, and you ain't black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
And I'm black. Yes, I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black. I'm black.
I am black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
If you couldn't tell, we're black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
Joe Biden, man, I'm voting for Trump.
Fuck Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Fuck Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Voting for Trump, the whole hood's for Trump. Fuck Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Blacks for Trump, Latinos for Trump. United we stand, and we standing with Trump.
Dear white people, will you take our vote? Why the Democrats always try to steal our hope?
I'd rather have a president with a mugshot than the president pedophile that we got. I'm sorry, Trump, I ain't vote for you last time. They was hating on you spreading lies last time. It made me
Out here in the dating game, man. And policies can impact relationships in a negative way. I remember you asked me the question, you said, well, whether you want to talk about Trump, and it's going to make sense because we often talk about relationships and how this culture is a byproduct of gynocratic thought. But when you think about the resonation or why Trump resonates so much with black men and how his policies alone, let's take them out of the way. How can the policies of Donald Trump build a more perfect union with black men and black women? That's number one. But then number two, I got another issue. I know some are coming back to the table and looking for reconciliation from black men. Now, I've been married for 28 years. If I was a single man in the game, if they come back to the table all they want to, I know what I'm used to and I know what I want. When you come back to the table, are you coming back because you're contrite, or are you coming back because you're in a state of ill repair? And then also, too, if they are coming back, many of them been, like the old folks, they've been ran through. So what are you getting in return? What is a man like Edward Anderson getting that's made good choices? You don't have any children out of wedlock. You made good choices. I'm going to assume you make good money. I think you're an IT guy. I don't know for sure, but you don't have to say it. But you're doing very well for yourself. So if they do come back to the table, what are you getting? You're not getting nothing wholesome. You're getting a bunch of chicks that have been damaged, even if they do come back to the table. So what do you say about the correlation between policy, female psychology? Because one will argue that they're giving a percentage of our women power or have emboldened them to sabotage and also destroy not only the image of the black man as it relates to his role in the family, but the black family or the black traditional family in general. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like what the policies can do, I mean, ultimately there's certain things that's going to have to happen to reset the system. I mean, basically women, starting in the black community, what's happening in the white community now.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They're being put as a buffer class in order to exert the control of men. So basically what you have is essentially class warfare, where the upper classes and the mega class, aka the 1%, the 0.1%, they're basically using the women as a buffer group. So what they did is they use women as batteries via, buying products and services. This is why all your commercials, all your media entertainment are geared towards women, to put them in a buying state, because they understand making a woman feel good equals them buying stuff that they don't need. Versus that's much more difficult to do that with men, because men are logical. Yes, men buy things. Men have their toys. Black men are more materialistic than most because of the gynocracy or matriarchy we come out of. But even us, we have limits to that, because obviously we know there is no help. Women believe that they'll never bottom out completely, that they can either just go down to the next dude, or the government will bail them out, or they can just have a kid. Men understand not only is that not going to happen, we get taxed for a lot of stuff. If we don't go to jail, we get on child support. So dudes, there's a tax for everything we do. That's why I always laugh when they try to make it like black men are not held accountable. We're held accountable more than anybody here.
Right.
So as far as policies, what policies tend to do is they can create the momentum for a reset. What do I mean? First of all, dudes are paying child support for kids that are not theirs. First of all, dudes think the kids are theirs that turn out are not theirs. So the marriage laws, which, by the way, the conservatives are going to have to step up on, because the conservatives are like that unlimited. The conservatives have a very outdated view of patriarchy. They want to do men need to die for women, as far as women and children first, when in actuality, the men are going to be the foundation by which the infrastructure and money is made and maintained. The women are the buying class. So if you want to have a long-term stuff, the men are going to have to be invested. That's the problem. And chivalry, we want to still have men doing chivalry rules, even though the women are not abiding by that, and it doesn't work. So that's where the conservatives, this is why you have all these conservatives talking about men need to get married and they just suck it up. Well, if you want
Right.
if I was talking to any of these guys, I say, okay, if you want marriage, then fix the laws. That's all you got to do. Make the price of divorce not costing a man's life. And when I say life, I mean time. A man cannot get that time, just like women can't get their time back. You never be 20 again. Those working years, those prime working years, men are not going to get again. And that's true for white men. It's damn sure true for black men, but that's true even for white men. And I've seen these situations. So white men deal with that more because they have more to take. So white women are more sophisticated on how to use that system to extract money from them, versus they just give black women child support just to give it to them. But white women are actually getting alimony. And so the point is when it comes to the policies can serve, like I said, as a reset. But unfortunately, both parties are still like resistant to this, because the type of change that's going to be required, they seem to not want to do it until it seems like it's going to be too late. So that's how it's going to help. But yeah, the women are going to fight it tooth and nail. Now, here's one thing that's interesting. What's interesting is, and not Pearl, but you're seeing other white women that are coming up. And I'm not talking about women like necessarily Pearl, but like older white women that you can see when they're about to move on something politically. These are the types of white women they get up. These women in their 40s, early 40s, like, the HOA type of chicks. And they're starting to speak on this in a way that they know that there's an issue, and they know it's going to start to affect them. Remember, white women are the largest demographic. And so they're doing this because it's something they need to do. Because 2.0 feminists did not intend, and look, I'm not obviously a fan of feminism, but 2.0 feminists did not intend. There's a lot of stuff that happened they did not intend for all that to happen. They did not intend for whore culture to be what it would be.
Right.
Especially amongst white women, especially amongst them. They're not really for that. They didn't, and so when you look at 2.0 feminists versus 3.0, so what you're seeing is another thing, and BGS has talked about this, how women don't want to be men. They don't want to be breadwinners. And so now they're going to have to start having honest conversation as far as what that means. And so that's up to them to fix it. And because they're doing that, then, Latino women who, they've already kept their men's insurance policy. And then black women, especially, they're going to be out here because when white women shift, now it's like, okay, they're going to get the best black men they can get economically and what they want. And then Latinas are going to get them too. And then black women are stuck with this trust bomb. Because you did what you did. And so the argument is that I was just looking at a comment right now talking about the Simone Biles situation with Jonathan Owens and how somebody's saying men are not the prize, women are not the prize.
I was listening to that. I was listening to your show earlier today. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was wilding out on that show. Right. But yeah, but they were saying family is the prize. And I'm like, okay, yeah, on the surface that makes sense, but men and women still make up what that family is. And in the black culture, when you ask them, they think a man is not required for it to be a family. And that's the problem. So
that is the problem.
What are you sacrificing for? Because men. It goes without saying. A man's existence is based on his utility. That's what we're taught. So we know we got to come with something no matter what. Even if it's not necessarily monetary value, that woman is not there for nothing. Versus men, women can think they can just come with who they are, and they need to get checked with that. They really do. So at the end of the day, even if you say the family is the prize, in order for a family union to happen, both parties have to believe that it's worth having. And unfortunately, the men are not getting married. And by the way, black men get married more than black women, by the way. But men are not getting married in the numbers that you want because, quite frankly, these women are treating marriage like a retirement program. Marriage is supposed to be a beginning of a long journey. It's not supposed to be the end of your horse status in the NBA. So now I'm going to retire with a dude. We're not doing that.
Right.
Dudes would rather deal with the Xbox than deal with that, because at least the Xbox ain't gonna cheat on them.
Right, and that's why I say, Ed, that there are 7 steps to male optimization: family, faith, finances, female psychology, politics, world travel, male mental and physical health. If a man can succinctly understand those 7 variables, Ed, he becomes optimized. And part of my membership package, we talk about what's called kosher novice, kosher apprentice, kosher master. My mission is to teach men to become kosher kings. When they become kosher, then everything is everything, and they're not left in the dark when it comes down to understanding the nature of females and female psychology. Shout out to my man, the Top Gunners. He is a channel member for the $20 super sticker. He said, I'm supporting Trump, who hurt you. Merry Christmas, brother. You may proceed. And on that note, Ed, hold tight real quick because we're about to get into it, guys. If you're not a member, become a member. But also in the meantime, guys, go check out my man Edward Anderson, a very poignant, analytical young brother. I love his commentary. I'm going to do a show talking about that because I had already had a show that my man International Quiet Storm told me to do. But then I had an epiphany, Ed, because I created a term called the prize catcher, and I'm going to break it down, what it means. That's a term I created. A prize catcher is a man to see a woman as his prize. Therefore, Ed, if that man see that woman as his prize, she becomes caught by him because he saw her as his prize. The problem, Ed, with modern women in America, they think by default they are the prize, and they're not the prize. No time in human history have a woman been the prize just because she damn say she the prize. And now I will argue more or less they have less prize-worthy elements than generations or generations prior to them. Men and women have their own level of prize-worthy compliments, but a woman is an accessory to the master prize, which is a man. Men have prize-worthy compliments because they're both prizes in their own ways. But when it comes down to the betrothal of the marriage, the man is the master prize, the woman is the prize of the master prize. He is a prize catcher, meaning when a man sees a woman, he sees value in that woman. Like the man that married my daughter, he saw value in my daughter because I taught my daughter to be a wife. She didn't have no kids. She won't randu, far as I know, and she's a good woman. He put a ring on her finger quick, because when a man see value in a woman, he's going to put a ring on her finger. So a woman can be a prize as it relates to her social market value, but you're not the prize, ma'am, when it comes down to sexual market value if you're giving your virtues to multiple men. And that's what they don't understand. They equate social market value like degrees, medals, and all that stuff as being symmetrical to what a man wants in a relationship, Ed. But men don't look at social market value. We look at sexual market value. Yeah. And social market value is just an adjacent to sexual market value. The sexual market value always going to supersede the social market value, especially for me, and I'm assuming for you. But they get it twisted. So a woman is not a prize by default. She can have social market value that can make her prize worthy to a company, or prize worthy to her girlfriends, or prize worthy to a bank. That's social market value. That's a term that I created, and I'm going to coin that. But it does not necessarily make her symmetrical, Ed, when it comes down to sexual market value. I'm going to do a show called Return of the Prize Catcher. This goes out to my man, the International Quiet Storm. I'm going to parrot some of your talking points from that show that you did. So I'm letting you know in advance. I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna break it down. And then I'm gonna break it down because you are a young 37-year-old young man. I know at some point maybe that you want to get a wife. I don't see Ed going back to the table dealing with a bunch of chicks that got kids by multiple men and been ran through. I don't see it. I could be wrong, but I don't see Ed doing that. But in the meantime, he said, I'm supporting Trump. Who hurt you? Merry Christmas, brother. You may proceed. So in the meantime, Ed, hold tight. I want to, those that have not subscribed to my membership, to go check it out. And we're going to get back to it. Give me 1 minute. Well, listen, I appreciate that, Quiet Storm. I'm honored that you said that, man, because doing these shows are not easy. It's not easy doing these shows, man. And I am a licensed therapist, and this is edutainment for me, using clinical concepts from an ethnocentric perspective. And so, man, I'm honored that you said that, man. I really appreciate that, brother. Thank you, the Quiet Storm. You and I have talked in the back, and I got nothing but love and respect for you. You, Gregory Scotland, Salty Balls, and channel of the Kosher Clinician. There are 4 levels to this channel. There is Kosher Novice, Kosher Apprentice, Kosher Master, and the highest honors is Kosher King. You guys know I am the Kosher Clinician, and everything I do or strive to do is fit and proper. But many times we know that YouTube is a very competitive business. Some get it from the mud like me. Some actually steal talking points, or more or less parrot talking points without consent or giving credence to the person that did the actual work. And because of that, I'm going to start making most of my content membership only to the great guys like Gregory Scotland, The Quiet Storm, my man Saul, and many others that always donate to the channel. Feel free to click on the link to the membership button. It'll give you all the explicit instructions that you need, and continue to enjoy content like this that's listed to the top as we continue to strive to empower men from all ages and all adages. You know and I know that creating content takes a lot of time. And in order for me to ensure that my time is merited, to ensure that you guys are getting the best content to those, especially those that donate and show love on a regular basis, I've taken upon myself to take my craft seriously, or very serious, and to more or less ensure that you, the faithful listeners, men and women, but mostly men, are getting the best content possible so that you can not only get your needs met, but also so that I can ensure that I get the proper revenue, as these streams take a lot of time and they take a lot of work. And I need you guys to understand this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become optimized, and understanding why becoming a member of this prestigious channel is paramount as we seek for resolve in times when male-centered content is not only under attack, but so is masculinity.
Hi, I am Eve7770, and I count it an honor to be a virtual assistant for the Kosher Clinician. The purpose of this show is to foster positive ethnocentrism. Many times, other cultures are not astute enough to convey the complexities of clinical concepts and social trends. This show is dedicated to unpacking the nuances of male struggles, and how to increase awareness with social factors and masculinity. As purported, mental health have become a crisis, and often fear, and underrepresentation is issue that impacts change.
All right, Ed, well, we're about to break down this montage, brother, and thank you once again for tuning in, Ed. We're going to break down this montage, Ed, and tell me what you think about it real quick. So hold tight.
Voted for Trump, the whole hood's for Trump. Fuck Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Blacks for Trump, Latinos for Trump. United we stand, and we standing with Trump.
Dear white people, will you take our vote? Why the Democrats always try to steal our hope?
I'd rather have a president with a mugshot than the president pedophile that we got. I'm sorry, Trump, I ain't vote for you last time. They was hating on you spreading lies last time. It made me relate.
Dear Trump, I hope you get this letter. I know the pressure's greatly felt ever since you got set up. I feel your pain and I can relate to you even better. I've been through the same thing as you, but I will never let up. Like Bryson Gray and his fans, they want to see me wet up and dead in the street. You'll never guess why, but I'm so fed up. People jealous of me, they hate me and turning on me. We supposed to be on the same team, ain't no getting better. I'm sick of these fake politicians flying to DC on the 6th to take pictures and pose like a star figure. But they ain't got no love for this country. They fall victim to the money and the fame and the glory, the fallen system. As these Democrats silence us, and we ain't got the time cause the violence starting to rise and our rights are being declined. And what power do we have if we don't unite on the path that Jesus Christ wanted us on? We just lost and losing it fast. So I hope you never vote Trump, and I pray to God I get unbanned and blown up. Cause if I make it, I promise I won't start faking and acting like I'm the greatest. I just want to give this country back everything that was taken.
Not whether you're for me.
All right, Ed, Trump resonates with a lot of black men, hip hop especially, and 50 Cent showed a lot of love for Trump. Why do you think entertainers, especially black men, have so much love for Trump in your opinion?
I mean, Trump has a history with, a lot of entertainers. So, it's the thing about the political season, it's an opportunity to, get, followers, exposure. People are going to be focused on certain things that they're not before. So that's part of it, so you have to, even in what I'm hearing, basically what I'm hearing is everything kind of in context it's very basic, very general, very just something put behind a beat. I mean, entertainers will be for Trump until he gets in office. Then they get away from Trump because, the women, quite frankly, go insane, about it. You saw, I forget the black woman, I think it's Chrisette Michelle. Right. She still has been blacklisted. And people ain't even dealt with her since she did that. So
right, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so people just get insane. So they do that now, but I mean, even with Snoop Dogg will do that now, and then when he gets in office, because the type of anger that these people have over Trump, it's almost like it's rage. It really is. And really, if Trump wins, that's the Democrats' fault. It really is. It's because the Democrats did not have a lot they really had to do. People are disenfranchised because the Democrats have, quite frankly, they think that there's another Obama around the corner. And even Obama, to be honest with you, would Obama really necessarily win? I don't know. Because now with what black people know about what he would do. So there's a reason you don't see Obama out there like that. There's a reason for that. Because, I mean, that would be your best piece to try to counteract Trump, right? But they don't put him out there because there's a lot of stuff he did not do. There's a lot of promises he made. And the Democratic Party has not continued those with Biden. That's one of the things about voting for Biden. The idea was that you're supporting Obama-era policies.
Right.
I don't see even if you didn't like what Obama did, I don't see no Obama-era policies. So... I mean, their entertainers are just being entertainers. I don't see the significance in what they're doing. I mean, they did that even for Obama. Same thing. I still play that song, "My President is Black," every once in a while.
You're on the dating landscape, Ed. I don't know if you are or not, but I'm assuming you date casually from time to time. When you decide to make a woman your wife, because he defines a wife, find a good thing. That's why when women say they're the prize, you're not the prize, ma'am. You can't be a prize unless you be betrothed by a man. When Ed goes shopping, the car can't say I'm the prize by default. The car can only say I'm the prize if you find value in that car to drive that car off the market. Am I right or wrong?
But the thing about the prize situation, as far as the dating, understand how I see the date market, and I do date in North Carolina, but as far as getting married, most likely that's going to be an overseas thing.
Talk about that, Ed. Go ahead.
Well, the thing about it is, and I tell people all the time, the thing is with men is it's what you can do and what you will do. The can part is where the self-improvement comes in, putting yourself in position. We all have work to do. I have work to do. I'm not acting like I'm perfect where I need to be. But another problem is when you get to the can do part, the leverage part, now are you willing to exercise that leverage and exercise that power? Jason Black does a good job talking about that and being apologetic about it. And this is why I keep saying that women like to use guilt and ego. When you need to do better, they will use ego to try to get you to do stuff that's not really worth doing. And then when you're in that leverage position, they will use guilt. I'm your mama black, try to control what you date, what you do, all this other stuff. And a lot of this is female nature. This is regardless of black women, white women.
Right.
I mean, white women are now starting to make it real popular. If dudes want to date women in their 20s and they're maybe in their late 30s or something, even if it's 25, 26, they want to make it like these guys are like creeps. Because, we know white women age quicker than black women do.
Right.
And culturally, their age affects them more than black women do in the black community culturally. So, white women are done really at 31, 32, especially if you're talking about top earning men or valuable men. That's not necessarily true in the black community. And that's if their child is, by the way, white women. So they're doing what I call sexual politicking. This is what women do, which is they make these arguments as a way of trying to control resources when it comes to men. The flow of dating, attention, and money that comes along with it. You'll hear women talk about things like pretty privilege and stuff like that. So ultimately, I believe that men should leverage. So you shouldn't just date in the United States. It's not just, I'm not even saying you go overseas and then you just date overseas. But what I am saying is you need to see how the other side lives. You need to understand how these other women operate, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Latin America. These women, they're not living a soft life, yet they can be feminine. And so this will reset what your expectations are. And even if you choose to deal, and even if you don't just date in the you don't go overseas, you should look at how other regions in the United States operate, because black people are not the same everywhere. People are not the same everywhere, although we are dealing with this collective national thing. So what happens is the biggest issue is we play by the rules that women set. Women are allowed to culturally set the rules because black men, white men now too, have basically let go of their leverage. Men have this chivalrous mindset where they choose to basically give up their leverage. And then the women think they're the prize. Here's the thing. I don't think all men are the prize. But at the same time, as a woman, if you're a 10, if you're a 9, if you're 8. If you're 8, 9, or 10, chances are you're getting money flowing your way or opportunities via pretty privilege. That's what these women call it. And the issue is you have women that they think because they are who they are born the prize. That's not how that works. It depends on how you're leveraged in whatever market. So for instance, and with men, if you're a man and you're quote unquote, as Kevin Samuels called a high value man, or if you're a man that's at a certain level in whatever market that you're dealing with, you're in the top competition, then yeah, you're going to be the prize. And but men do have leverage. Even if you're not the prize, you still have leverage. And what it is, a lot of dudes choose to not exercise that leverage out of guilt. They think they're harming black women. So they're born with their mothers being a single mother, and they think their dad did that to them because that's the story that they're told. So
let me challenge your talking point, Ed. I'm going to challenge you. I don't want to color cross you. I'm going to let you, but let me challenge your talking point because I love what you're saying. I do agree with you that by default and also by default, neither aren't the prize. I think women are born with more prize-worthy elements as it relates to what men want in a relationship. But watch this, Ed. Water seeks its own level. I heard Ron Will say that. I heard BGS say it. Water seeks its own levels. So if a man is a 1, Ed, if that woman is a 1, if that man chooses not to marry that woman, that's a 1, then she'll never get married. So that man got to find something worthy in that woman. It might be that she can cook. That might mean she might wash clothes good or whatever. I don't know. It might mean she smiles, or it might mean she's kind, or it might mean she comes. But if that woman is a one, unless a man marry her, she'll never get married.
No,
so,
absolutely. Simone Biles is a perfect example of that.
Right.
I mean, and that's why notice how a lot of women are losing their minds, mainly on TikTok. But they've lost it, and this is not just ugly women. Some of these women are attractive, and there are black women. I've seen them, I've shown them that that are operating within a level of common sense, and they've said exactly what it is. They took an interview, and you could tell the people that watched the whole interview and the people that didn't. I mean, if Simone Biles, has all these accolades, if she went into it with a spirit of entitlement, she would not be with that dude. Let's be real here. With Simone Biles' accolades, that dude can get in a more attractive woman with his status and his looks. He's not, all athletes are not necessarily conventionally attractive outside of their athleticism. That's a dude that even if he wasn't paid, you could see that he could get chicks. So so even though she makes a lot more than him in the endorsements and stuff, because quite frankly, she was more established, and that's kudos to her too. That has nothing to do with her qualifications as a wife. She could be Simone Biles, the Olympic winning medalist, and still be a horrible person.
Right.
Like, for instance, you think Sha'Carri Richardson would make a good wife if she wanted to? The way she's been wilding out. Now, she's been acting a little bit more humbler lately, and as a result, she's been winning. So kudos to her. She went back to the coach that brought her to the dance, and she realized, okay, the way these people are acting ain't it, because I'm tired of losing. And that's kudos for her for growing and doing that. That took courage doing that. Most people will be too prideful to even do that. So I'll give her credit for that. But the reality is, when you look, I mean, Gabby Giffords, and I hate to say it, look, Simone Biles is not ugly at all, but Gabby Giffords is a lot more attractive. Dominique Dawes was a lot more attractive. And they didn't end up with like an NFL player. So that's even more so kudos and strength to Simone Biles' personality and everything. And that's what he said. And they took that and they basically bent that into this. He's basically trying to dim her light BS.
He's not. Right.
He literally said, I married her because of who she was as a person.
Right.
I wasn't even aware of Simone Biles, the gymnast. And then once he found out what she was about, he clearly respected that because he told the story in that same interview. And this is important what I'm saying, how when she was giving him commentary on like how he was playing as far as him being slow because he's overthinking. Number one, she was right because he said she wasn't the first person to say that. But secondly, he also said that if that would have been a normal chick, he would have wrote it off because she was who she was as an athlete and what she accomplished. Right. He had respect for that counsel. And she didn't just tell him that. He actually showed her something. Then she said it and said, I've seen it for a little bit. I just didn't want to say anything. And so that's so he literally said in that interview, it was the intangible stuff that as to why he chose to come off the market. Remember, this is a 28-year-old that just really got the starting position. It's time for him to have fun as an NFL player. He sacrificed that for her. And let's be very clear here. Simone Biles is way more limited in what she can do in that way because there's certain endorsements and certain things as her representing America than her being an African-American woman in representing America. So they're going to watch her a little bit more. And this was true for Gabby Douglas, and this was true for Dominique Dawes. So the reality is this idea that she could just be out here, living life on her terms, living it up. No, she has to be more disciplined than that. And quite frankly, she got with an NFL player that had to be that too. So the point is, when you look at him compared to her on the shuttle marketplace, I'm sorry, her Olympic medals don't make the difference. I mean, what Michael Phelps, his does, right. Money that comes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right. I'm going to do a show to parrot that. I had already had it in mind. One of my members asked me to do a show on the prize catcher part 2. But have you ever heard that term called the prize catcher? You ever heard that term? You never heard it?
No, I haven't heard that term, but I definitely got it when you explained it. I mean, what you're basically saying is this is why women, they go to dudes that they dealt with or dudes that, like them that they didn't deal with. I call it first string, second string, third string, fourth string. Boyce Watkins is a good example of that. That woman was a prize catcher. That's why she went back into her Rolodex. Now, not to shit on Boyce all the way. One of the things that benefits him marrying her is it benefits him for branding. So So I'm not going to just say, well, he got all his money. He just gets absolutely no benefit. It's better a benefit than him just being out there by himself. And then the women are asking that question. So, so certain things make sense. Same thing with Jonathan Majors as to why Megan Good got, like, I see those situations, but still, that's why she was able to get that deal that she was able to get, even though she's the age that she is. So it's nostalgia. So, but women don't do a good job doing that because how they represent themselves in their 20s. So a lot of these dudes, it's not, because see, this is why older school women understood that it's better to keep dudes in a friend zone and better to give them something. Even if it's not sex, kissing, or anything, it's better to give them some kind of respect because you may need to reach back to those dudes.
Right.
And, like other women understood that, but they didn't pass that down to like millennial women. So the millennials don't understand that. The Z's definitely don't understand that.
Yes, sir.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a term I created because I call it prize catcher, meaning the man is the modus operandi. He sees the inherent value in a woman. So when Ed decides to get married, when you go to Brazil or wherever you decide to go to get your wife,
eyes are in the eye of the beholder kind of
there
stuff.
you go. Right. So the man is looking at her as his prize. If he see her as his prize, then that woman becomes caught, the prize catcher. And I came up with that because, I say the men and women have prize-worthy elements, but when it comes down to the office of marriage, the man is the prize catcher. I'm going to do a show called Return of the Prize Catcher Part 2. It's going to be epic. Shout out to Greg with Scotland for the 5. He said, this is why I enjoy the black manosphere. A smart man here, no bogus, save the community pigeons, can hold sway, nor any job time be on the cold crowd. No doubt. I appreciate it.
I'm all about saving the community, but a community is based on relationships, and all relationships have mutual benefit. We may value different things, but at the end of the day, somebody's getting something out of it. And this idea that men are supposed to be like worker bees and drones, it's not going to work. And the other thing too about the prize situation, the thing is, when you look at the prize, these women are basically saying they want basically a top, literally is really 1% dude. But generally, I look at it like currencies. You have genetic currency, you have, which is basically, height, things like traits and stuff you pass down. You have sexual currency, which is sexual ability. You have economic currency, you have social currency. And so I look at them currency. So look at it like a report card. Right. And then basically certain dudes are going to line up on that. These chicks are essentially saying they want AB honor roll people or straight A dudes. Meaning you want dudes that are 6 figures, 6-pack, and 6 feet. That's what you want. And understand that dudes typically make money to get around height. Then dudes that got height and the money. So the reality is, it's just like with video vixens and stuff, like the old school video music videos. If you wouldn't do it, another woman would. You have stuff all around the way. So when you create that environment, those guys are going to be able to do what they want just by nature. And women are actually having kids based on this principle, which is why you have a lot of dude-man sharing going on. And the statistics that Media Man did shows that, which is why the narrative is that black men have all these kids when really 54% of black men don't have kids. And so the point, and here's another thing that doesn't get considered. What's culturally valued in the black community are culturally not valued. Like when you call dudes a square, you say they need edge. That's not necessarily the case in other cultures.
Right.
So, and even in the United States, especially in this economic situation. It's the stereotype that Asians don't like black people, like black men. Well, black men don't need a lot of Asians to like them. It's enough of them that you just need a certain percentage for black men to be able to relatively choose. Same thing with Latinas, even though the focus is always with white women. So the thing is, when you look at like a Carlton Banks type of dude or the actor that played that, you look at his situation versus you look at Will Smith's situation. Anybody of any race would say Will Smith is probably the better catch, but who has the better situation right now? So, and that's if you keep it within the United States. It's Alfonso is his name. Let alone if you start taking it international. So once you get to a certain amount of economic level, now you can look at is a game board. So if you're somebody that's pro-black, you want your grandkids to look like you, okay, you have the entire diaspora as well as Africa to tap into. So that takes the leverage.
Mm-hmm. Right. Let's get into it. We're going to finish breaking this clip down because I know you got to go at some point, man. You're doing an awesome job. And also, man, at some point, man, I'm going to call you the Mercurial Ed because you're like a phantom, man. You float in, you float out. You like one of them bus stations, man. You never know where you're gonna catch it, man. So at some point, I want to get your number. You don't have to give me your personal number. You can give me a Google number. I got a Google number. I got a real number. It's up to you. But I do want to get your number to stay in contact with you. We need to link up one day. I'm in the Tar Heel State, the greatest state in the union. I'm gonna always say that. I'm gonna keep saying it. And let's chop it up at some time, man. In the back.
Yeah, I'll put it in the back chat.
Okay, brother. Appreciate it because I want to stay in contact with you. I love your energy. I love your insight. So let's look at this real quick. And break this thing down. Why so many blacks are voting for Trump? Hold tight.
Here, Trump, and you ain't black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
And I'm black.
Yes, I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I am black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
If you couldn't tell, we're black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
Trump won 2016 and 2020. He won big and he won black. And that's why they're panicked. That's the real reason why they're panicked, because so many black people, particularly black men, saw the scam of the Democrat Party with their poverty programs, which is taking public money, putting it in private pockets. It never gets to the people. When you go in any, like particularly Nancy Pelosi's district, is full of homeless black people on the streets, dying, living in shit, and she's calling Trump a racist.
Well, to see...
What you think about what Roseanne Barr said, Ed? Go ahead, brother.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's real interesting what she said. I forget I actually do forget what Roseanne said. It got her kind of low-key blacklisted. But, yeah, it's true. I mean, the majority of homeless in California, the majority of homeless are black men. It's overwhelmingly black men. And as far as her district, I don't know 100% about that. I would assume she's not lying because San Francisco has a homeless problem. San Francisco is actually low-key, like, falling off as a city, to be honest with you, compared to what it used to be. But California definitely has a black homeless problem. And, yeah, there's a lot of broken promises from the Democrats. And they have basically been operating on, like, 60, 70 years of, the New Deal politics and stuff. And they haven't really updated. And really, the people that they're loyal to don't have the voting power to keep them in office. They're giving them donor skills, donor money, but they don't really... They're not serving people they need to be serving. And it doesn't take a lot for people to peel off. So that's true. I mean, whether she wants to use terms like scam and stuff like that, yeah, but at the end of the day, people want something different. And they've demonstrated they don't care. They've demonstrated they're going to keep on going full steam ahead and dare you to do something. Like I said, the real issue is not so much voting for Trump. The real issue is black men not voting, because there's a lot of black men that's not going to vote for Trump regardless. They just can't do it because of certain things, but they can definitely not vote. And when you look at, that's why they don't like to read. That's why I don't like Corey Holcomb, because that's what they talk about. And I call it a vote of no confidence.
Right. Interesting. Because I always said black men exercise their right. I believe our ancestors died for us to exercise our right to vote, but also the right to not to vote. It won't just exclusive just to vote for the sake of voting. That's why I hear people say, well, you need to vote. Well, I don't believe you should just vote for the sake of voting. It gave you the option to choose to vote or the right to not vote based on the policies of the candidate. But hold tight.
Black Lives Matter leader Mark Fisher to now endorse Donald J. Trump for president of the United States of America is a big thing. I mean, this is just simply showing how black men in America are seeing themselves through the two-tiered injustice system that is happening to Donald J. Trump by the Joe Biden administration. I mean, this is something that has been happening to black men for 400 years, and yet we're seeing it happening to a former president of the United States of America. The fact that famed rapper Waka Flocka just endorsed Donald Trump, and you're seeing other notable black men and women in this nation that are now speaking up positively over Donald Trump for president of the United States of America. The president is not fighting for one race. He's fighting for the American race. And this is why he's becoming so popular amongst all races in this nation, but particularly the black community. The Democratic Party is losing their stronghold by painting the picture that Donald Trump is a racist and not for our people. Clearly, that is a lie.
Wow. I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time.
So if Donald Trump was standing in front of you right now, what would you say to him?
Go Trump!
And if Joe Biden was standing in front of you, what would you say to Joe Biden?
So I said, I'm going to go to a rally.
And at the time, if you're black, you couldn't go to a rally because they'll kick you out and they're racist white people and all this stuff. And I said, I'm a grown man at this point. I'm not a kid no more. I can go and judge for myself. Let me go and see if this guy is as racist as they say he is. And if he is, I know I'm not going to vote for him. Went to a rally in Tucson, blew my mind. Blew my doggone mind. Everybody there was nice. It was like family. You had people of all race, all demographics, people who are disabled, people who weren't, people who were veterans. I mean, you had people of all walks of life in there having a good time, appreciating this country. The lunatics were the protesters. They were outside screaming at people. One of them called me a white supremacist, and I'm like, we're doomed if a black man is a white supremacist. And it just blew my mind. And then the media lied about everything, and I was there.
Left knows exactly how to bait black people because they use things like racism. The other day, Michelle Obama went on TV. She gave a whole speech, talked about how Trump was this and Trump was that. And at the very end of what she said, she made sure to say, and yes, it is racist. You know why? Because the minute you call anything racist or you add race into it, black people get emotional and they come out. Kamala did the same thing because they know how to bait black people in. Here's my thing, and I've told black people this before, who are Democrat. I don't try to convince Democrats to be Republican, but I try to convince them to do is know your history and read a little bit. Do your research. If you still want to vote Democrat, do what you do, but be an educated and an informed voter. Most Democrats can't tell you why they Democrats. They just hate Donald Trump. They can't even tell you what Biden did in 47 years, but they're going to vote for him. They can't tell you what Kamala did while she was in California, locking black people up left and right, but they're going to vote for her. When will the slaves get off the plantation? You know what happens when slaves get off their plantation? The house tell on them.
I voted for Obama.
You talking about cognitive, you talking about mentally transmitted diseases, which is the perfect term that you coined. But you parroted that, Ed, talking about collective narcissism. It's almost like a petri dish because the collective narcissist is also what I call, a term I may call, a rail thinker. A rail thinker, Ed, is a person that stays on a rail. They can't diverge off a rail. A rail thinker can only think one way. I call them a static thinker or a flat thinker. They can't think no other way. They can't think no other way. They don't have what's called a divergence of thought. They just think one way because they've been programmed to do it. I'm a free-flowing intellectual. I look at all angles. That's why you're not going to truncate me and put me in no damn box. I do what I want to do. I say what I want to say. I'm a man's man from the old school. So, I say what I want to say. Nobody going to encapsulate me. But this brother was correct, Ed. Mentally transmitted diseases, in my opinion, creates a culture based on rail thinkers, but also creates a culture of collective narcissists where they think it's all about them, entitlement, lack of self-reflection, lack of cooperation between both parties because it takes a man and a woman to build a nation. And I've said before in the past, Ed, you can't have a black community unless you honor and respect that said black man. You can't have no damn black community unless you honor and respect the black men in that community. The warrior class is the class that protects the women and the children. We live in a world where they aggrandize the women at the behest of the men. So, and another thing is, so many men and boys, because they never had their fathers, they tend to over-identify with women. In the clinical world, we call it introjection, which leads to internalization, which leads to identification, and the anger comes out in the form of projection. What do you say about that, brother?
Yeah, as far as the mentally transmitted diseases, I mean, when you look at that, could fit into a lot of things. Like, for instance, when you look at like information that was buried, and then what that information was replaced with, like all these myths, the myth that the black man just walked away from the household, the myth that mostly black men are having these kids. Even, Bella talks about they still think Kamala is black, just not having a clear view of what blackness actually is because of one drop rule policies and stuff like that, where Cardi B is black. And that matters because Biden was talking to Cardi B when he was first trying to get elected. And so apparently what she's supposed to do is represent us, but she lives an urban experience, but not a black experience. as far as African Americans. What happens is you build up these narratives and these myths. And when you look at the Black manosphere being around and before the Black manosphere, you see how hard it is busting these myths. Busting these myths are almost as hard as trying to convince a Black person that's a Christian and God is not real. It is that awesome of a task. So that's why I kind of came up with mentally transmitted diseases.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. So when you put out false narratives like that, and then they manifest in certain things, like you said, collective narcissism, which, by the way, is that Simone Biles and Jonathan Owen situation is a perfect example of that as an outburst. And then you start hearing what they're literally telling this woman to divorce her husband just off an interview he gave because they misinterpreted what it was.
Right.
And most of these people aren't even married that are saying that. So this is not just something, when you have a disease in the body, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, it creates certain outcomes. And the difference between a disease and a virus is a virus you get, a disease develops based on things that are not going well in the body. And these can be like environmental factors or whatever. I'm not a licensed person, but I understand how to deal with it. And so this is why it's so hard for us to communicate with each other as a people. And the thing is, here's why. I don't just think men are just better. The reason why the men are not as susceptible, the men have their mentally transmitted diseases. Make no mistake. I personally think game is a mentally transmitted disease that comes from the culture of us having our shit torn down, in Jim Crow. And that originates in the 70s, that black exploitation pimp culture that we had to do stuff in the underground because every time we did stuff the right way, it was torn up. North Carolina has a history of that with drugs as well as with, obviously the Black Wall Street in Durham. I mean, literally the highway in 147, you can literally see the black people live on the right side versus the left when you see Research Triangle Park. So these things have real world. And so as a result, we've created a subculture in order to have to deal with that. But the problem is that subculture is not meant to take over the culture, which kind of started with gangster rap and the stuff that was going on there. And it's like it never let go because I'm one of the children of the crack era. So you see this and see how it culminates. So this is not just something that when I say these things, I know you're not saying that, but I want to let people know in the audience, I'm not in the replay gang. I'm not saying this because these are catchphrases. They do sound good and they help me communicate information well, but there's things behind what I'm saying when I say it. It's not just something I'm just throwing out there because it sounds right. We know what a sexually transmitted disease is. We know that's bad. We know typically when you get one that you're kind of forever marked, although you can be cured from some. And so I look at mentally transmitted diseases, culturally transmitted diseases. Thomas Sowell would talk about that when he talk about black rednecks. And so these are just different ways. These are systems so you can kind of view things quickly and get it. That's why I say it that way. So there's a consequence. Also, last thing I'm going to say, these academics. I don't have a personal issue with academics. Shout out to Green Gorilla, Dr. T.S. Johnson, Tommy Curry. We have some great guys out there. However, our academics had a unique place, just like how our pastors did. Pastors were supposed to basically deal with the main class of the black community, and it was a way for the upper class and the middle class and lower class to interact. They also was where a lot of business money met. Blue collar workers, white collar stuff like that in a neutral space. And they were allowed money passing through the community as a way of them being stewards to that. They have failed. Our academics were more the brain of the community. They held what the information was. Think of them as like priests that understood what the knowledge is as far as our history and stuff like that. As far like, so when you look at, but they decided to bury books like Dark Ghetto. They were written by great black men to try to put out what was going on. So every generation, we have to reset this stuff. And as a result, and this is black men and black women. Right. And most of your academics work for white women. They're the ones that typically manage that. And so as a result, when academics come at us with the degree, you don't understand the level of damage that you did. And I could bring up stuff in different examples, but my point is there is a real collective cost to these things. And everything is just not repairable. We may not have the kind of time we need to actually repair these things, so because you got certain greats like Dr. Claude Anderson isn't going to live forever. I uniquely understand that with my mom as far as her age. Dr. Claude is way older than that. And so what happens when people go? Then we're going to have Boyce Watkins. Look, man, I'm not hating on Boyce, but that's a downgrade. Now we got Robert Smith, and I'm blanking on the name of the other black dude that's actually gaining on Robert Smith, this African American. That, by the way, is married to an unambiguous African American woman. Look him up. in case people want to ask that question. But and we have some other people. I've seen some people that really know that knows what they need to know. But some of the people, but you lose these things. You lose a library every time somebody passes, right? So we don't have this kind of time. We don't have forever. We can't talk forever. People think, oh, well, eventually black men are going to wear down. No, these dudes are walking away. These dudes are walking to the Xbox, man. They're going in, getting their passports. They're going to the Xbox. They're checking out. They're going SYSBM. SYSBM ain't just going to white women and non-black women. Anyway.
Shout out to my man Salty Balls for the 10. He said, brethren, continue to feed your minds with cognitive nutritional therapy as it helps with a healthy critical thinking. Otherwise, one can fall prey to the toxic environment of the heathenry. No doubt. And
that's a bet, right?
That's a deal, right, brother? I appreciate it. And then also shout out.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on
He said, Ed is doing a brilliant job on this topic. Well done, sir, Coach. Thanks for facilitating this. Yeah, I always enjoy Ed. Ed got that Scorpio swag. I'm a Leo. Leos and Scorpios can be either friends or foes. But we definitely have a cerebral level of consciousness. But we're going to get back into it, Ed, because I know you got to go at some point. But I'm going to finish playing this real quick. And this is Phil Scott. Hold tight.
Yeah.
But Obama didn't do a thing for black people. He did something for immigrants, which most of is south of the border, Latin America. He did something for LGBT.
Yeah.
He did something for the white bankers. But he did nothing for black America. So, no, we don't respect him in black America. Sorry.
Really?
No, we don't.
Why can't people?
I don't even like Trump. I ain't vote for him.
Let that marinate, Ed. Don't go nowhere. You can take some notes too. Let that marinate. Let that marinate based on what Phil Scott said. But hold tight.
But I tell you what, I probably will next time, because this dude seems to be turning black. The more he does, the more blacker he seems to get, because they keep going after this dude for nothing. Sound just like what they've been doing to black people for years. I'm gonna tell you right now, if America ain't waking up and seeing the game that's going on, y'all ain't never gonna get it. I mean, they've been after this man for everything under the sun. The more they go.
So do you guys feel like this country's going in a good direction? Do you guys feel proud to be Americans?
Yeah, I'm proud to be American, goddamn me. I don't even know about politics. Personally, I'm proud to be American, goddamn me. I'm proud to be in my country and shit. I know if I was the president, it should be a whole lot different on my mama. Like,
do you guys fuck with Trump or Biden or none of them?
I fuck with Trump.
You guys like Trump?
Even though the media was doing more than Biden. Even though the media was trying to do all that other shit. Trump was on some real shit.
I vote for Trump.
Nigga, our gas was $3 with Trump. Nigga, now shit $6.
Are you voting for Trump?
Raekwon the Man voting for Trump. Phil Scott voted for Trump and many others. But hold tight, guys. Guys, get the likes up. The robot said, tell them Negroes that inflation is hot. Get the likes up.
Hit that like button. Go ahead. Do it now before I reach out into that screen and twist your hand like Aunt Esther. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Destroy.
Yeah, put chain on the balls on my mom. They be bringing balls. Kill some of my mom, bro. They back me look like gang. That's on my mom. Gang. That's on my mom. Gang. That's on my mom.
Yeah, even Raekwon the Man can read. They voted for Trump. They see the BS. What do you think about Phil Scott? What he said? I think everything Phil Scott said was true. The gentleman that said if you can't see it now, you'll never see it. But also, gangbangers, they all voted for Trump. What do you say about this colossal level of consciousness where it appears that Americans are waking up, especially black American men?
Well, what it is, a lot of this stuff is class warfare. So as far as like what Phil was particularly talking about, Obama made certain promises. There were certain expectations. And the one thing Obama tried to do, which is my brother's keeper, unfortunately, the AKA class, the 92s, they got in the way of that. And so as far as, and then that's not an excuse. He should have just jammed that through. I don't want to hear, whatever. There's things he could have did with getting marijuana legal and then helping focus that through. There was things he could have set in place to kind of really help push stuff along. But he decided to change his views on the alphabet stuff because the money started to flow and Wall Street had kind of abandoned him. So he needed to go, the money otherwise. They wanted to go with their own, which is what Mitt Romney was. Mitt Romney was one of them. And by the way, Biden was Senator of Delaware. Delaware is the credit card state, FYI. So when you look at that, Yeah, I definitely understand why people said he didn't do anything from him. And another thing that a lot of people are really annoyed about is you look at when other people like Tavis Smiley and other folks tried to sound the alarm of that. And I'm not the biggest fan of these people, but they definitely wanted to do the right things for the right reasons. They were shut down. And there's a lot of people. The Obama administration was very dictatorial in how they control black male conversation. They were able to shut black men down really strong. And they definitely, if you look at the people around them, Valerie Jarrett, all of those, I mean, it was a gynocracy running through that. I mean, for real, if you really look at it and you pay attention to folks that, even when Michael Eric Dyson was saying something that was worth hearing, like speaking truth to power, they were all shut down strong. And so everybody had to trust that he'd do the right thing. He said, vote for me again. I would. He didn't. And then he thinks he's going to be like Tony Blair, being famous around here. And that's why I was like, don't ask us, because black people will tell the truth. African Americans will tell the truth about what happened.
Right.
And Phil clearly did that. And they were acting like they're surprised because they don't know. But and what I would have told that woman to ask in case she pushed back, I said, why don't you think you see Obama really more? Like Tony, they know who Tony Blair is. He's the former prime minister. He used to be everywhere. Like for a long time after he got it, he was like Bill Clinton of that zone until like the war in Iraq and stuff. It happened. But with Obama, you don't really see Obama like that. And it's a Democrat, so you can't play the game that like Bush was playing. Like I don't believe in being out there, while another president is there. No, you're vice president. The dude who's the vice president under you. And you're just nowhere to be found, there's a reason for that. And that would I use as evidence of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, guys, this is a classic show with my co-host, Edward Anderson. It's been a lot of conversation. He's done an awesome job breaking down these more salient topics. We're going to finish listening to it, guys, because I want to be respectful of Ed's time. Hold tight.
Yep. White supremacist. How? How can you say that? How can I say if you vote for Donald Trump, you're a white supremacist? How? How? Because you support that man in office.
That's not an argument. I'm going to need proof that makes me a white supremacist. You're going to have to break down the argument?
That's not my job to say that.
You just accused me of being a white supremacist. You should be able to back that up.
Are you voting for Donald Trump?
I sure am.
That's my proof.
Are you voting for Joe Biden?
Yes, I am.
Then you're a pedophile.
No.
Yes, you are.
A pedophile.
You're a pedophile. How? You like to sniff kids?
Are you voting?
As black people, we with Trump.
Yeah, I with Trump. I don't know what everybody got against him.
Yo, he was making the breadwinners, you heard?
I'm a Democrat too, but we Trump. We need Trump back in office right now.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I with Trump, to be honest with you, bro, for real, Trump really did this shit. And I like him because he's about money. It wasn't about no politics. He wanted to make America great again. Through Trump.
That boy Trump, he making sure to get their bread. I ain't gonna lie. I'm thinking Trump for life. Trump for life. I ain't gonna lie.
Love Donald Trump. Trump wanted us to get off our ass and get some money. Trump 2024.
It's the truth. I mean, everybody hold a piece of money, you feel me?
Trump really a boss. So Trump running it how it's supposed to be ran. And people just can't take it. And he putting out facts in front of the people. He ain't lying to the people. People just don't want to accept the truth.
Trump, man, we rocking with you. Love you, Trump. My dog. Uncle T, what's up?
Trump put the money in our pocket. Trump had the country on a better path as far as economically.
He put America first, so it makes sense. I like someone who likes to put his people first.
Trump 2024, my brother.
They know they can't get him for none of the real shit. We get it, gang.
Yeah. I ain't used to like that. But now, bro, I realize that he meant well for the country and shit, bro. We need that back. Free Trump. Trump 2024.
They tricked y'all dumbass to get Trump out the chair, and now look how that shit done backfired on y'all dumbass. Trump got my back. Trump for life.
Donald Trump. He showed us love, and he didn't stop. 2024 Trump. Trump 2024. And we from Baltimore.
I ain't gonna lie. Trump, my mother, dog.
As much as they talk shit about Trump, he's probably the best thing for America right now, no cap. Really.
Trump. My man Trump, he's gangster. I like him. I love him. Make America great again. Let's go. Trump 2024, Trump 2028, Trump 2032. Man, listen, Trump for life.
He really supports veterans. I'm an Air Force.
And when you think about masculinity, what does that mean to Ed, number one? Because I'm gonna try something. I think Trump, well, I'm gonna let you answer, but when you think about masculinity, what does masculinity mean to you, number one? And I think that many folks see Trump like an OG because he keep it raw and gangster. He says what a lot of folks are scared to say. Masculinity is based on principle. Masculinity is based on standards. Masculinity is unwavering in his convictions. That's why I think folks vote for so many brothers resonate with Trump, because they see the correlation between being targeted, but also standing firm and being a maverick like Donald Trump. But when you think about masculinity, what does that mean to you? And then why is Raekwon the Madman voting for Trump, in your opinion?
I mean, when I think, I was going to say some of the same stuff you're going to say. Like, I was going to say standards. I was going to say standing the test of time. I was going to say, what comes with sacrifice, doing what needs to be done, but not doing what needs to be done just because it needs to be. Like, again, there's got to be an incentive-based system. Dudes are not drones. Doing what needs to be done for to move what they're trying to move forward for. Waking up when you don't want to, in order to have that long-term better tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think of when I think of masculinity, on top of the stuff that you say. Obviously power, obviously dominance, those type of things. And I think people see that in Donald Trump as well. But at the end of the day, man, when I a lot of this stuff, what it all boils down to is the Democrats have basically just assumed people are going to vote for them just because. They literally talk about all these issues. And it's like, if you add all the issues they talk about, where are the votes on this stuff that y'all talking about? When y'all talk about the immigration, where are the votes in that? When y'all talk about, because if you try to give these people citizenship, people are gonna go insane. White people are gonna go insane. Just be clear about that. When you want to deal with all of this social engineering stuff, whether it's gender choosing and all that, where are the votes for that? Like seriously. And so it's really a bunch of folks that they're doing this in the absence of other things that need to be done, like infrastructure projects, incentivization. Weed is legal in more states than it's not now. Right. So that excuse of there just ain't the money is BS. That excuse of not being manipulated with taxes is just BS. I mean, we want to push quote unquote projects like social engineering rather than getting stuff on the right trip. And the truth is, Republicans have their own stuff too. Right. The thing about Trump is Trump actually operates outside of both of that.
Right. Exactly. Yes, sir. Right. Yes, sir.
Resonate, but ultimately, a lot of these dudes are dealing with. They are even susceptible to that because of the Democrats lacking being apathetic at doing what they need to do. And this is just folks in the Beltway, stuff, and it is what it is, and so the only way people traditionally know how to affect that is the presidency. Because the reality is there's no reason you should be still voting for your same Congress people unless you're happy with what's going on in your district. And most people don't even pay attention to that. They just do it. People pay attention to senators a little bit more. But yeah, people traditionally try to focus on one person and assume that one person is going to fix everything. That's not how it works, but that's why they're saying what they're saying. Shout
out to my man Richard Mack in the house. He said, showing some love before I start my live stream. I support the kosher clinician. He's trying to be damn funny. Shout out to my man Richard Mack. And, Ed, they go on SYSBM, and many are singing that song, I'm Tired of America. They get on that plane, and they're heading to the promised land. Shout out to my man Richard Mack for showing some love for the 10. Thank you, brother Richie, for the $10 super chat. Can you hear the sound more? Ed? Can you hear it?
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Okay, perfect. All right. Shout out to my man Sir Tice in the house. He said, salute Coach and Ed. He said, notice your boule puppets, Van Jones, Black mayors, Michael Eric Dyson have been deployed. Yes, again, black men, we dare not agree with the rainbow politics, censorship. Let the shaming commence. No doubt, brother. I appreciate it, Sir Tice, for the 9, and you're 100% correct.
Right? That's a deal,
and that's a deal, right? Once again, you're 100% correct,
that's
brother.
A bet, right?
I appreciate it for the 10. No doubt. I appreciate it, brother. But Ed, this is looking at it real quick, and because I know you got to go, so hold tight. Give me 1 minute. We're going to finish knocking this out. You've done an awesome job. Hold tight.
veteran myself, so I really respect that because like no other president's really been actually sticking their neck out for us, and I really appreciate what he's been doing for the VA. And he's trying to keep us out of wars. You know, a lot of the things I thought he was going to do, like I thought he was going to get us into war with North Korea, that didn't happen. Thought he was going to get us into war with Iran, that absolutely didn't happen. And he's a real strategic genius, and I really mess with the dude. He's dope.
Are you going to vote for the president in 2020? It appears so.
That's not even. There's no question. That's why I'm here. I'm absolutely going to vote for him.
Were you a Trump supporter from day one?
Not at all. I believed everything the media told me. I believed, I drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. And it got to the point where, the type of person I am, I like to know why I don't like someone. I was told that he's a racist, but let me get some evidence, right? So I can be able to debate Trump supporters when it comes down to this, and I can be able to beat them down with facts. Started doing my research, and I was like, okay, well, I agree with that he said. I like that what he said. I like that Paul said it. I like this guy. I think I'm gonna go ahead and rock with this guy. So that's what I started doing, and I haven't stopped.
Video, it said black men for Trump, right? And so I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of Latino men for Trump too. And so let me ask you this, right? Why do you think that there are people that identify as black, identify as Latino that are rooting for Trump this way?
Why do I think what?
Why do you think people are rooting for Trump?
Because he benefited us. He did benefit us.
How?
He did. Trump. The gas was low. The food was low. The bills the way it is right now off the meat rack. It wasn't like that before when Trump was on the office. Think about it. Think about a couple of years back. Your bills. Since Biden came in, he got rid of so many businesses in the United States that went out of state. Got rid of our money. Okay, think about that. Look at the stupid shit they're trying to do in Staten Island. Putting all these immigrants now in Staten Island.
Whoa, whoa, sir. Everybody besides the indigenous population of American Indians are not native to this land. Everybody's an immigrant.
Listen, all the nationalities, the immigrants that came in, all the nationalities, whether it was Thailand, China, African, Mexico, all of them that came in illegally and they didn't have to go through nothing like our ancestors had to. Our ancestors had to bust their ass to come into the United States to earn their citizenship. They went through it. You look at history, they went through it. Our great-great-grandparents, they went through it, bro. Why these people got a green pass, got money, got food stamps, got aid, medical aid, got free rent, got free hotel stay, got free clothing stay, and taxpayers got to pay for everything. Why? Why we have to do it? Why we have to?
Let me.
Now, Ed, you're from Chicago, man. They're flooding your state with these immigrants, man. You heard this Latino say that. That's like one of the old school Latinos that believed in getting it from the mud. I saw you being in deep thought. What was resonating when you heard that, brother?
No, I'm listening to it. So as far as like the immigrant situation, like I said, I don't have an issue with immigrants. The problem is, again, people forget illegal immigration is exactly that, illegal immigration.
Right.
So people act like, and if they're getting it, with the sanctuary city stuff, that's more of a city by city thing too. But Democrats are running these cities. So again, it's very obvious they're doing that in order to try to replace the black vote eventually.
Right. I totally agree. Right.
So, but where it is messing up is these people are not voting Democrat. And they're not, obviously the immigrants can't vote, but what it is they're not, the ones that, like, for instance, the ones that were given amnesty by Reagan, a lot of them see themselves, like the Cubans, stuff like that, they see themselves as Republican. And so culturally, they're not culturally aligned enough to get this done. So they're not comfortable with trying to make the push to make them legal, although they are setting it up. You see that in New York, you see that in Chicago. And the truth is, there's so many immigrants over there. Actually, a lot of them are starting to leave and go somewhere else because Chicago's cold. Chicago's infrastructure, in a lot of areas outside of the central city leads to be desired. And so at the end of the day, really, you have people, if you notice in all these conversations, I just got to say, they're not saying nothing. I'm not talking about the people that's for Trump, but even the people that's asking questions, they're either asking a question and they're having very like top down arguments. Even the one with the initial video where they were talking about, you know, you're a pedophile or you're a racist. It's like, okay, they're not giving reasons, they're just giving opinions. And the truth is Trump got a lot of white women to vote for him the first time around. People
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, are we now? When I say we, I mean those two. It's like y'all gonna have an honest conversation, or y'all just gonna call names? Because truth be told, people can lie to you about who they voted for. They can go vote for them and tell you whatever just to not engage with you. So it doesn't so if you really do not want Trump to win, it doesn't benefit you to just play that shame game. It really doesn't, because you don't know, or the votes are private, and so ultimately, again, that's not going to work. People have clearly communicated to the Democratic Party what they want. Republicans obviously feel the momentum with the Supreme Court, because the thing you guys get most Republicans on for the most part is the Supreme Court. So they're going to want to try to preserve that, that majority, because now they're starting to see traction with some stuff like that. And like I said, I'm not even trying to be against Democrats, but it's really I look at this more of a cost-benefit analysis. You can't just sit here and say you should do it because reasons. It doesn't work that way, because y'all don't do that with other groups. And so if you're going to keep doing that, then you're going to get what you're going to get, which is a steady drumbeat of folks not voting more so. And then some people are going to vote for Trump because of the cult of his personality. I'm not really so much here to speak on the policies and stuff of what he's done and has not done, because at the end of the day, I'm not like anti-Trump, but at the same time, Trump did this. I gotta understand a more historical thing when it comes to it, and it comes to the stuff he's done, not done. A lot of stuff is circumstantial. A lot of stuff is passed through from the last few years of the Obama administration. COVID happened. There were decisions that were made, but Biden's had his turn. Biden was really too old to be president. You could argue Trump was too, but Trump got in there first. And at the end of the day, can you honestly say Biden has done what he's needed to do? And the fact that they're trying to keep him from running is proof of that. And people can see that part, even if they can't articulate the other stuff. They can see the lies, the BS as they're starting to analyze it.
Yeah, and it's sad that so many people fell hook, line, and sinker. And I tried to warn a lot of people. But then I heard folks come back to me, Ed, and say, yeah, you told us, Coach, you told us, but we didn't listen, because his policies have not benefited the black family, the black community. The policies of Joe Biden, I would say, have made our society worse. Trump is not perfect. Trump can be a goofball too, but I'm only looking at the policy and the lesser of the two evils. Both parties are screwed up. But like you said something that was very profound. Trump is not a traditional Democrat. He's a businessman first. So businessmen don't think politics. Businessmen think business. And that's what Donald Trump does. Real quick, let's finish playing this, and then I know you got to roll.
Don't you dare talk about respect. That is a man who has no respect for anyone on this earth. And the fact that you're defending him on that speaks much more about your character and the low
Rick, I don't know
you.
Rick, I don't know you, but I would advise you to not question my character, because you don't know me. But if you like to talk to me about my character and what I believe, I can have that conversation separately. But what I will say is, if you're going to impugn the integrity of the president, do so on things that are relevant to him as a candidate and as the president, not things that have nothing to do with his presidency. That's all I'm saying. Continue to rabble.
You can just say
Guys, no personal insults. No personal insults, please.
Trump or DeSantis?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I with Trump, to be honest with you, bro, for real, Trump really did this shit. And I like him because he's about money. It wasn't about no politics. He wanted to make America great again through Trump. You know what Trump did for us? Ron DeSantis didn't do shit for us.
I only know who Trump is.
So you rocking with Trump?
Hell yeah, that boy Trump be making sure get their bread. I ain't gonna lie.
So you thinking Trump 2024?
I'm thinking Trump for life.
Trump for life?
Yeah, Trump for life. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm not sure black people deserve a second term of Trump, bro. He got Lil Wayne out of his jam. Kodak, he freed Kodak. He even freed the mayor of Detroit that was down for like 30-something years.
Everybody had turned their
he
back
freed
on him.
Kwame. He freed Kwame.
And not only that, it was an ASAP Rocky.
Yep, he got him out. Yep, he did.
He didn't have to do that.
He did.
He didn't have to do that at all. I think this time it's not for black people, because it's too late for us to appreciate it. could have set ourselves 10 years ahead of where we are now if we would have embraced him when he was in office those 4 years, elected him another 4, we would be vibrant. But no.
I think they did vote for him, Ed, but we're going to leave that alone. I think they did vote for him. I think there was a coup d'etat at a more or less subtle level, but I'm going to leave that alone for, yeah. But what do you think about what Anton said, what some of the other people said prior to that, Ed? What do you think about that from your analysis?
I mean, honestly, man, some of this stuff was the same stuff that was put on the last one. I mean, talk about you vote for somebody for life is ridiculous. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I don't mean to get classist on this, but this stuff is serious business, and unfortunately, with black men, the gynocracy is really messed a lot of perspectives up. So when I see a lot of this, I see a lot of talking to Biden, talking to Cardi B. I really do. I mean, it's all about Trump for life. We're talking about, he did this, he free Kodak Black, he agreed this, read that. I don't care about any of that. None of that matters. Kwame Brown deserved to get locked up, to be honest with you. He did what he did in Detroit, and Detroit is still, it's not all his fault, but he was kind of the last one of a vanguard of honestly, Kwame paid for the sins of a lot of other mayors in Detroit before him, but Kwame did stuff himself. So, I mean, he didn't really deserve to come out. I don't care that they let him out, but he really didn't deserve to be let out. The rappers, that's whatever. I can understand that. What they did was not like that big of a deal. They didn't. It wasn't like they hurt anybody or anything like that. So that's fine. But that doesn't move me. Like, and so and honestly, I don't want to say I don't have respect for dudes, but their opinion is not high on me to the fact that that's the stuff you're giving. But at the same time, from a macro perspective, you like from a marketing perspective, a lot of people, you care about why people buy your products, but ultimately look at, do you buy them or do you not, to know if your marketing is good. And that's kind of how I would look at it. I'm not going to sit there and belittle folks that are going to give me votes, but at the same time, that, from a person is looking at it from the other side, these are not like black empowerment reasons. Like when somebody says, yeah, man, we've been prospering, we've been doing this, doing that. I just look at these people from a more neutral stance than that, as far as like Trump and other politicians.
But I think also, Ed, that when people say there's more tongue in cheek, you take it for what it is. It's almost like somebody said, Edward Anderson for president. Well, Edward Anderson ain't running for president, but they venerate you so highly based on what you do. They might say, well, Edward Anderson for president. So I think people are saying it more or less in that particular vein.
What I get is people want change. And
right,
Trump
exactly.
is element for that. And that's and if I was a Republican person, I would pretty much say there's a lot of things you can do with black people. Even reparations is this everlasting thing that we're going to try to go for. But there's things you can do before that to get the votes in this election. Now, there's actually tangible things you could reasonably do. Mm-hmm. And then, and I'm talking about Trump particularly, because you got to separate Trump from the Republicans, just like how you separate Obama from the Democrats. Obama was his brand in and of its own. Truth be told, Sarah Palin was a brand unto her own.
Right.
And so there's that part. So I get that part. And ultimately, that's what I'm hearing. I mean, when I hear all these videos, that is the consistency. I'm comparing this and that, and what this is not it. Whether it's Trump or anybody else, I know they asked about DeSantis. DeSantis is an idiot. And I mean, you'd be dumb to make him vice president. He doesn't get you anything. Really. You do better getting Vivek as vice president. I mean.
Yeah, but I know you got to go. Did you want to answer anybody questions, or you got to run, man? If you got to run, I understand. You did an awesome job, brother. Awesome job.
I appreciate it. I mean, that one dude was talking about who hurt you. I put in the comment, he obviously gave you money. So, I mean, at least respect him putting money on his comment. But I actually asked
Where's that at? I don't see it.
That was a super chat a while ago. You read it. It was a dude who was saying, salute the culture. You support Trump, who hurt you. He was maybe, being funny. But what I was going to legit ask him was, like, is there a question there? Like,
no, he's not talking about you. I don't really. My man Top Guy, he ain't talking about you.
Okay.
That's something that he says is funny. Him and I, we laugh about that. He wasn't talking about you. He always say who hurt you, but he's not talking about you. He's just talking about in general, man, having fun and laughing, man. So he ain't talking about you, brother.
No, it's fine. I know he wasn't talking about me, but I was gonna see if there was something there because I mean he did put $20 on it, which is more than.
Oh no, that's my homeboy. He'll joke around, and so it's almost like the shaming language of some. We say some, not all sisters.
He's paired in that.
He's paired in that. Like who hurt you or your mom is black. That's what he was saying.
But at the end of the day, and as far as black men, I mean, most black men can't really articulate it. Like when I say we do, I'm not saying I'm smart, but it's all about when it comes to this gynocracy stuff, and that's something too that people are kind of rebelling against. This is why you don't really see a lot of women, like black women, necessarily supporting Trump. There are some, but for the most part, a lot of what they do is tied to how the Democratic Party is structured. Because the benefit packages that they get, because Republicans are anti-Section 8, they're anti, they're anti, they're anti a lot of stuff. They want to remove the post office or give it to UPS, and black women benefit very much so when it comes to government jobs, particularly in the post office. So the thing is, they have certain ties to the Democrats, so they're going to be locked in and. Like a lot of them. That's why they vote for them in those percentages. And then when you look at all of the government positions, they got the mayorships, the judges, all that stuff up and down in the city level, the state levels that they're getting. It's a different factor with them. But there's a lot of different reasons. Understanding everybody is not, a coin. You know what I'm talking about, but I'll say coin for here. It's not that. It's a lot more complicated. People have their reasons. Really ask why and stop making assumptions. Because at the end of the day, you shaming people don't matter because they don't have to engage you.
Edward, America was shut down back in 2001, 2000. The world was changed for the worse, in my opinion. A lot of people suffer. Inflation now is at an all-time high. Folks can't afford food. They can't afford rent. A lot of folks are homeless. Did you see this manifestation before many others? I did. Or you didn't see it yourself?
No, I saw. I mean, yeah. Right. I mean, I saw it because the inflation has a cost to it. And in my opinion, it was kind of an overreaction. I understand why they did what they did, but it was kind of an overreaction. But a lot of it was based on what they didn't really know. But at the same time, there's things Biden could have did. And quite frankly, Biden just I don't really see they ever had a plan. That's my thing. My thing is, what were you trying to do? Even if it didn't benefit, obviously, black people, even when you look at it from a white person's standpoint, how is this really benefited? Like, what can you really say? I've done this, this, and this. It's more so, it's kind of like, okay, well, the country still exists, so give me more than 8 years. That's not going to work. It's just not. And so, you kind of use COVID. Here's the problem. You use COVID to get Trump out of there. But at the same time, now you're mad because now that COVID is gone, or the lockdowns are gone. You haven't really done a lot to really put stuff back on track. Do you really think these Ukrainian wars Americans are going to care about? You think this Palestinian stuff Americans are going to care about? I mean, the Republicans will give Israel some money because that's the church side over there. So that doesn't change anything. So yeah, but it's going to be interesting these next couple of months.
Ed, I asked you the question earlier, man. And guys, live call in if y'all got a question. But if not, we're going to end the stream in a minute. But you're a young man. You're successful. You're doing your thing, man. Miss Anderson, what does that look like, brother? Miss Edward Anderson, what does she have to bring to your table? And I'm picking on you intentionally, but what does she have to bring to Edward's table to enter into your kingdom?
Yeah, I'm cool, but keep in mind, these are like some really, if I wasn't me, some people really get tripped up with these questions, but yeah, that's fine. As far as me, I've talked about it on my stream. I mean, I look for somebody, as far as bringing it to the table, this is not in any priority. This is thinking of it, so keep that in mind. Even the attractive thing is a given, but ultimately, I want somebody that's level-headed. I want somebody that's coachable. I want my grandkids to look like me, either look like me or darker than me. So if I hop the fence, that's me hopping out of the black community. I'm very aware of that. I don't have that room. I don't have that runway of maybe other brothers, might have. So this is why I talk about stuff like intercultural dating. They can be definitely an African American woman. However, understand that the black culture runs through me. And that's one thing black men forget, so I that's not required You know, if I get somebody from like the diaspora. So, but ultimately, level-headed, coachable, and then as far as the skills, definitely, I prefer that they know how to cook. Cleaning is going to be dealt with regardless. But cooking is important. A sense of culture is important. Knowing where they come from, their family type of situation, and quite frankly, I'm looking at their family too. If you come from a family of single mothers, then you're going to be a single mother. I'm not in
Right,
any.
right, 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 right,
If you
right.
come from a family, if I see your aunts and stuff, understand I'm evaluating the women in your family as well as you. If we're talking about a commitment like that, and by the way, I was taught to do that. So by my own mom. So yeah. So that's pretty much. I mean, everything else I can fill in the blank as far as coachability.
Yeah. And the reason why I asked you that, Ed, let me clarify myself. I ask a lot of questions, you probably say, why in the hell is Coach asking me them stupid questions? And I don't see this as stupid to the point that I see it as trying to tie it to the conversation.
No, absolutely.
Politics plays a role on female psychology. You talked about the Lyndon B. Johnson, you talked about the what's the report?
The New Deal, or are you talking about the Moynihan report?
Moynihan report. Policy impacted female psychology. Policy also impact female psychology as it relates to either suppressing your voice as a man, but also your role in the family. So I'm trying to tie the link in. I'm tying the link in, but go ahead, brother.
No, absolutely. You know, and I would say obviously femininity goes with attraction. And femininity comes in different forms. I don't expect a chick from the Northeast of New Jersey to have the same brand of femininity as a chick in California. So I can account for that. But however, cooperation and level-headedness, meaning emotional control, meaning you're an adult. There's a baseline as an adult, even if you're a woman. The everything else I can pretty much get the blanks filled in, but those are the key things. I mean, those are the kind of deal breakers. Level-headedness, feminine, like this thing about women, they talk about they can turn their brains off because I'm around. That's not the same. You resting in your femininity is not the same as you being able to turn your brain off. That isn't so, you know. I mean, people think we don't have answers because I did in one of my recent streams. I talked about what are the buffet of things that men look for as far as bringing it to the table. And I do expect you to have some skills. You know, it's something. It's gonna be some stuff you know how to do. Coming, and if you don't, because then I'm gonna be like, what are you doing? Some things I can coach up, but as far as other stuff, I expect you to be coming with something. Because then I'm gonna be like, I don't want to curse. What did your family teach you? Because that's a commentary on your family. Because understand, if I have a kid with somebody, that's a legacy that's not just carried through me and my family, and that's a legacy that's carried through theirs. And I expect something with that. See, when here's the thing. If I'm looking for marriage or if I'm looking for having a kid with somebody, I'm very aware of evaluating somebody as a mother of the children. And anybody want to ask me, well, what do I bring to the table? Understand, I bring to the table way more value than what I'm asking for. Make no mistake. It's not even a question. So anybody that's asking me that, they're automatically disqualified because they don't. It's a question a woman asked me. I'm gonna end it with this. It's a question a woman. I was talking to a woman. She asked me this, and it's a great question, and I use it all the time. Do you choose the father of your children? How a woman answers that tells me everything I need to know about her, at least at the start. And even if you take too long to answer that, tells me a lot. Because it's a question that you really got to think about. It's not an obvious question of how to lie. If you say you do choose the father for your children, that tells me a lot about you. If you say you don't, that speaks everything to accountability. So it's a really strong question. I got other ones like that, but yeah. And I know how to interweave those in conversations. I don't believe it. You don't take a chick out and interrogate her. You weave these things in a conversation.
Right. It's more or less like a marination. You don't ask it on the first day.
I'm
You
saying
slowly
this for
bring
the
it
audience just so they know I know. Like when dudes, I hate when dudes sit there and they say, well, I'm a high value man. And therefore, this. Now, dude saying he's a prize a little bit different. That's in the context of an interview. He's giving insight of what he thinks. But when if you tell a woman directly, you're a high value man, to me, that's goofy. Stuff like that has to be shown and demonstrated. And it's not demonstrated in what you got. It's demonstrated in what you're not willing to tolerate. And I'll leave it at that.
You know, as a sidebar before I let you go, man, Thank you once again, man. Excellent job. This stream was better than I thought it was going to be, man. We killed it, man. I love your energy and your insight. But have anybody ever told you, Ed, you like Tom Joyner, man?
Tom Joyner.
Yeah, Tom Joyner morning show.
I haven't been told I look like Tom Joyner. I've been told I look like what's it called from a different world.
Who's that?
I've been getting the light skinned dude from the Different World TV show.
Yeah, you like Tom Joyner. He used to tell me I look like Isaac Hayes. I just tell him I stand accused, man. But before we end this show, Ed, what did you take from this show? And like I said, I got a show coming up called The Prize Catcher. I was listening to you earlier, but I had already thought about the show. I did a show in the past about The Prize Catcher, and I'm gonna actually parrot some of your talking points. So I'm just letting you know in advance. But what did you get from this show, brother? And
it's more street dudes that like Donald Trump than I would have thought. Mm-hmm. So that's what I got from the videos you've seen.
Okay, all right. Any other talking points you'd like to take before we end it?
No, I mean at the end. I'll give a disclaimer. Understand, my channel is kind of like rough around the edges. I tend to do my stuff really freestyle. When I'm called to do a video, I do a video very flow of thought. So if it's kind of like, this is like scrambled, it's not as organized as culture stuff. Just fair warning. Fair warning. I tell the truth when it hurts. And yeah, when it comes to black men are messing up, I tell the truth on that. Black women are messing up, I tell the truth on that. And there's no holds barred. So. Fair warning if you check my channel out. I'm basically going to clean it up as far as like the organization later, but just fair warning. So
FAAFO nonprofit. What does that mean?
It stands for fuck around and find out. That's what it stands for.
Man, I'm gonna call you the stoic Scorpio, man. You just a stoic.
I know how to do a lot of acronyms. I learned that into other stuff that I did. So, DICE, DICE is what I call a gynocracy, dick investigations and customs enforcement. So I'm gonna do a lot of AI art and stuff like that to kind of articulate, picture worth 1,000 words with some of these acronyms and stuff. Oh yeah, I got a lot of stuff. So.
Yeah. I've been doing a little bit of the AI. That's something I'm going to incorporate a little bit at some point as well with the pictures and whatnot, man. But once again, man, thank you, brother. You did an awesome job. We killed it. It's always free flowing when you and I conversate, man. I appreciate it. I got your number in the back, man. We'll link up one day. I know you somewhere in the greater Tar Heel state. I'm not going to say where. But once again, man, it's always a pleasure. And once again, man, my heartfelt condolences to your mother. I heard you on talk about how some of these jackasses, man, with disrespecting you and your family, man. I'm like, well, damn, man. That's the worst you can do is hit a man you're so resilient and strong. You just let it roll. I mean, I don't know if you let it rolls off, but you're so stoic. If it was bothering people, would never know it, man.
It got handled on the back end. There's certain things with YouTube policies and stuff, and people get caught slipping. Stealing content and stuff. So there's always a way to get at somebody. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, like stuff like that, you can only do once, where it's really going to work. And at the end of the day, that speaks more volumes about who you are, especially in this space. And this is why when people talk about like what this space should be and everything, I always respect every channel on their individuality. And so when we talk about the manosphere and adjacent channels, this is not to say they're in the club or not in the club, but at the end of the day, I call that internet transmitted diseases as well. So a lot of times,
talk about that. I'm about to clip this. Go ahead.
When you have trolls and stuff like that, like I've seen certain people. I thought I was trolled. I've seen people that literally made money trolling people. Like you'd be surprised how sophisticated this stuff can actually get. But the thing about it is when you're speaking truth to power and people can't handle or accept certain things you're doing, they will do everything but go after the point that you made. So they'll say, oh, you're light skinned. Oh, you're ugly. Oh, you're this. Oh, women don't want you. Oh, you haven't shown the chick, even though I haven't shown the chick. Well, I'm like, dude, the thing about it is common sense, unfortunately, isn't common, but there are people with common sense. So I can look at somebody like you that has your opinions. You're a father. You've been married. You have your experiences. You're older. Somebody like BGS, somebody like Shannon Rawls. And I can just look for different people that have said the same thing or similar things and say, hey, okay, you want to say I'm not doing this or I don't got money because I'm not going to put myself out there for somebody to attack. Then here's this person saying the same thing. This is why I share videos a lot. because I believe in the exposure of other people, but I also believe in you're hearing black men of different experiences, different generations, different regions, different backgrounds, street dudes versus squares versus blue collar. And so I can just put together all these dudes that fill those gaps of what I'm not willing to show you. And now you say that they're messed up. Like right now, a perfect example, last example. They said that obviously Jonathan Owens was a bum, even though he's a millionaire, because Simone Biles has more money. Well, Giselle made more money than Tom Brady his whole career.
Right.
But when they're white, it doesn't count, right?
Right. I totally agree. Right. It's just something I heard you guys, people have say this low key contempt for black men. You can never do enough. And, the thing I find so appalling, man, the women that got the loudest voice are subpar women themselves. And, at my ripe age of 52, if I was ever single in the game again, brother, I would never look at the typical woman in the West. I know there's a remnant or a few diamonds in the rough. Shout out to all the good women that are diamonds. We know you exist. So I love those few. But if I was a single man in the game, brother, I'm good. I would get that passport, homie. I would probably be in South America, Africa, or in some Asian country, because it's messed up, man. Yeah, you got some love, Ed. My man C. Moses said that dude's all right. I'm gonna check out his channel, so that's good, man. But Ed, once again, man, thank you, brother. We got to do it again, man. We'll figure it out. We'll plan something. I don't know if you. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about doing the Simone Biles show solo by myself, but.
Nah, I've said what I need to say with that.
Okay, cool.
Definitely check out some of my video uploads, because I've been, being lazy, just uploading other people's stuff, not other people's stuff on YouTube, but so people can have context of what I'm talking about. I'll upload, what certain brothers have said. Women have spoken very well about it, as well as women have been goofy about it, so you can get a good general idea, help you get some good research. I mean, TikTok, God, they're really wilding out over TikTok. But it's definitely something to talk about, because I think it's exposed a lot of attitudes towards stuff. Because at the end of the day, that black female winning, that's a good thing. She went for what she wanted. She got what she wanted. It's good how that dude adjudicated that courting process, because he could have played games with her. He could have, he could have acted like he didn't care. He courted her the right way, and he was a good steward of her feelings, her emotions. He made the decision to marry her for himself, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing on black men, especially him being a younger brother. And for people to flip it like that, and it's dudes talking stupid too. I call them emotional, and I'm kind of bringing up my things, but so you can understand how I think. I call those guys emotional dope dealers. Mm-hmm. Those Derrick Jacksons and people that are telling women stuff that they want to hear, or they're agreeing with them for views. Understand that creates an echo chamber that has a lot of damage to it. So it is like selling dope in the community, not just weed, but like the stuff that really devastates. This is coming back to the mentally transmitted disease. Mm-hmm. Where you lie over time, and then these women, they believe that, and it starts to get encoded. And dudes, and here's the thing. Oh, well, you're saying men don't do that? The difference is black men deal with overwhelming consequences. So when you deal with a Jonathan Major situation where he wants to believe we live in a post-racial America, guess what he's dealing with? A To Kill a Mockingbird situation.
Right.
So it's not the same, because dudes will get checked if you believe that. That's against your health. So anyway, I do have to go. But I definitely appreciate this.
No, man, listen, I appreciate you. Like I said, man, I'm going to call you the Phantom Walker, because you're like a phantom, man. You're like a cloud. If you don't catch you might get you on the next train, man. Yeah, but I appreciate it, man. Very mercurial, but very sharp, very analytical, and very intellectual, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on the platform. We'll do something else again, man. If you ever want to do a show, I'll come on your channel, man. We chop it up. Let me know, man. I got you, man. All right?
All right. No, absolutely. All right, man. Appreciate the audience. Appreciate my people for coming through, and you take care.
All right, brother. Be good, Ed. All right, man. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. We're about to sign off, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to the Orange Peel Nurse. He said Simone Biles married down because she makes more money than her husband. But white guy Travis Kelce dated down to Taylor Swift billionaire because his ex-girlfriend. Well, let me read this again. Simone Biles dated down because she makes more money than her husband. But white guy Travis Kelce dated down to Taylor Swift billionaire because his ex-girlfriend looks better. Yeah, black woman logic. Yeah, I see your point, Orange Peel Nurse. I appreciate it, brother. And And that's a deal, right? Thank you,
That's
Orange
a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Man, I appreciate it, guys.
That's a bet,
and
right?
yeah,
That's
guys,
a
it
deal,
was a great
right?
show.
That's a
Shout out to my
deal,
man
right?
Edward Anderson. We killed it. Thank you, Zeus. That's the Zeus, guys. If you have not donated, donate to the channel. Thank you once again, Orange Peel Nurse, brother. I hadn't seen you in a while, but thank you, brother. I really appreciate you showing some love. And guys, I did have a live call in, but we're going to end it here. So, guys, y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I think I got another classic show coming up on tomorrow. I think you guys will like that. I'm going to have to go and try to break it down to figure it out. But, guys, y'all showed out, and y'all showed out big and strong. I really appreciate it, guys. Another great show. And, guys, we're going to end it on that note. And once again, while so many black men voted for Donald Trump, but before that, guys, this is why I am the kosher clinician.
Hi, I am Eve7770, and I count it an honor to be a virtual assistant for the kosher clinician. The purpose of this show is to foster positive ethnocentrism. Many times, other cultures are not astute enough to convey the complexities of clinical concepts and social trends. This show is dedicated to unpacking the nuances of male struggles and how to increase awareness with social factors and masculinity. As purported, mental health have become a crisis, and often fear and underrepresentation is issue that impacts change. Black Men for Trump is a movement that aims to promote the support of African American men for President Donald Trump. The movement has gained attention and sparked debates within the political landscape. Many African American men have openly expressed their support for President Trump, citing his economic policies and criminal justice reforms as key reasons for their endorsement. They believe that his policies have created jobs and economic opportunities, thus benefiting the African American community. Moreover, some argue that President Trump's criminal justice reforms, such as the First Step Act, have brought much-needed changes to the system and have been beneficial to African Americans who have been disproportionately affected by harsh sentencing laws. Black Men for Trump has organized events, rallies, and social media campaigns to spread their message and encourage more African American men to support President Trump. They believe that it is important to challenge the assumption that all African Americans vote for Democratic candidates, highlighting the diversity of political thought within the community. However, the movement has faced criticism and backlash from those who argue that President Trump's rhetoric and actions have been divisive and harmful to minority communities. Some believe that his policies do not address the root causes of systemic racism and inequality. The debate surrounding Black Men for Trump highlights the complexity and diversity of political views within the African American community. It raises important questions about the impact of policy decisions on different groups within society and emphasizes the need for open and respectful dialogue on these issues.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Fighters keepers, losers we.
I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over. And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you. But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
To exclusively marry Black men. We are in the middle of a crisis. Black men are in crisis. And anybody who denies that Black men are in crisis is ignoring the data, the science, the research, the statistics. It is not a figment of your imagination that there are not enough eligible Black men to marry.
It's been an honor serving with you all. Autobots, roll out. We rolling.
Nanobots, transform.
She lie on them brothers, separate uncles and nephews and cousins and try to pin us against mothers. How you a woman but ain't got a man for protection, but you undercover? How do you think that we suffer? Thought we were sisters and brothers. Now you get birthed in the gutter. When they rap, they the same ones that cut you. Be the same ones who yelling they love you. Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that, wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. 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 So all going on in your man, you don't get it. And using your women as splitters, then hit us. Put you in place and our family ruin. Target your boys, you don't see what they doing. We gotta beat them, you wanna join them, we just leave them. Your feminist feminism, more like treason. Politics, you don't even follow leaders. First is master, probably cause of your Jesus.
God is white. Isn't it obvious? Well, that is obvious, but we don't know if it's obvious that God is white. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that Jesus did not have blonde hair and blue eyes. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the images of Jesus that are on prison walls and churches throughout the world are not historically correct, because history teaches us that Jesus was born in a region where the people had color. There's proof in the very Bible that you ask us to read in Revelation, 1st chapter, verse 14 and 15, that Jesus had hair like wool and feet the color of brass. Just what are you saying? I'm not saying anything. I'm proving to you that Jesus was not, and I might quote one of our Indian brothers, he was not a pale face.
This would have been a dick, you didn't believe it. You reap the benefits from your achievements. Penitentiary, all we get is deleted. But God on our side, baby, we gon' beat it. She lie on them brothers. She lie on them brothers.
I'm big on you, cause I'm the biggest, baddest beast.
Separate uncles and nephews and cousins and try to pin us against mothers. How you a woman but ain't got a man for protection, but you undercover? How do you think that we suffer? Thought we were sisters and brothers. Now you get birthed in the gutter. When they rap, they the same ones that cut you. Be the same ones who yelling they love you. Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that, wanna say I'm his brother. She lie on the brothers. 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 She lie on the brothers.
Breaking all these black men with what? And they don't give a fuck. Yeah, this man hit me with fucking grabbed a rock and it hit me in my fucking face because I would have given him my number. And all y'all just fucking watch. Y'all see that shit? Y'all see that shit? What y'all gonna do? I want y'all to be a man. I want y'all to be a man and fucking do something. Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face.
Roll out, transform, 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 roll out.
When my friends go, it was simple. When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike. I go hard day and night, yeah. I go hard day and night. 1 to 1, no surprise. See the hate in their eyes. My brother's blood money bleed. I got the game in the squeeze. What would you do for some green? What would you do for some blues? Go pick and choose the fam of the cheese. Some people not built like that. Some people get killed like that. Pressure like water, lights, mortgage, I've been at bills like that. Now I got kids like that. No wonder why I feel like that. Some people go to war for none. Me, I go to war for some.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was.
When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, better strike. I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, ain't all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. What would you do for a win? What would you do for your friends? What if this life is a foe? What if the dogs pretend? What if you roll to the end? What if you started again?
Fire! The Kosher Clinician.